Welcome, everyone, to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame in his game because he's always the same.
And what am I?
You don't even have your microphone done. Oh, man. He's our NHL analyst and expert.
That's right. No, my microphone was ready.
Okay.
You just improperly did the promo.
Okay, sure. It's been a while, Grumpy. We didn't do any show over Thanksgiving, Grumpy, so I got rusty. I missed last Saturday, so I got rusty, Grumpy. One day off, and I got rusty.
Pathetic.
Oh, man. Welcome, everyone. Welcome all to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. Again, as I mentioned, this is a twice-a-week sports podcast, all Islanders podcast that takes place every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're new to the channel, we invite you to stick around a while. We invite you to subscribe on YouTube, to like on Facebook, and to follow on Twitter. And if you like the content, right, the best way to let us know is either by leaving a little comment below or by leaving a little thumbs up. Apparently, it helps the algorithm, helps get mine and the grumpy old man's word out there.
That's right.
Oh, Grumpy.
That's what we hear anyway. That's what TJ's heard.
That's what I've heard. Exactly. I couldn't tell you with 100% definity, but that's what I've heard. Grump, quite a few games to catch up on and to cover. Most notably those Philadelphia Flyers, Grumpy. Your favorite team to hate, the Philadelphia Flyers.
I tell you, remember this 8-game stretch we talked about? We had to be 6-2. Right?
That's what we thought the team should probably finish with, 6-2.
Right now we're 4-3, and the teams we've lost to were who are the teams we've beaten? Edmonton, Toronto, Philadelphia once, and Columbus. I'd rather lose to John Tavares and Toronto than lose to the Philadelphia Flyers.
It wasn't good enough for us to beat the Flyers once. We needed to beat them both times in order for the grumpy old man to be happy.
I hate them. I'll tell you what, though, one thing I noticed about last night's game, I feel, as I've mentioned many times in this podcast, we have the edge over just about any team in the league when it comes to goaltending, right? We haven't played Boston yet, but I feel that we have the edge on just about any team in the league when it comes to goaltending. What I saw in yesterday's game was when you have a goaltender on the other side who's playing close to Sorokin's level, we don't look so good. It's not going to be most nights. I'm just going to be honest with you. But I was like, oh, when another team has a goaltender who can actually stop the puck, it looks like they're pretending that they play goaltender. Those are games that give us a little bit of a problem. I was disappointed in how Philadelphia came out. I thought they dominated us pretty much from start to finish.
It was, and you talk about that game, right? Because you can't just talk about one of the Flyer games without talking about the precursor where things got physical, and I think the Islanders really turned it on, right? They went down. I think this was Friday, right? Black Friday. The Islanders are playing the Islanders are playing the Flyers, and the Islanders went behind during that game, but they found a way to fight back. And then I'm not sure if they came back in the third period and wound up winning, or if it was late second period they tied it up. I can't remember all that turkey.
We've had 8 come from behind victories this year.
Yes, I was going to talk with that here in a second. But yes, we have had 8 come from behind victories. And the important thing as well to take into account with this, we're also in a situation and scenario where we've had 5 of those where we've come from behind in the third period.
Yeah.
So, we've had a lot of, the team has been very entertaining and interesting to watch this season. I don't think you could have a single complaint about the team's effort level, the team's, the entertainment value the team has brought. That's for certain, Grump.
Yeah. I mean, we're 15-9. We have to be happy with the record, right?
For certain. Absolutely happy with the record.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, we're 15-9. The only thing that concerns me, because I love how the team is playing right now, I mean, we're giving it all we got, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're seeing development, no adoption to stepping up even more. Matt Barzal has been fantastic this year. Regardless of what some fans might say, he's been tremendous. He's our best player, certainly of the skaters. Sorokin has been.
Who's the best player of the skaters?
It's Matt Barzal.
Absolutely, it is.
Sorokin's been phenomenal. Like I said, for me,
Vezina.
he's my Vezina guy.
Yes.
And then someone said to me, "Hey, what about Linus Ullmark?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so. He's been pretty good too." But for me, I'm a Sorokin guy, so I'm voting for him.
Sorokin, I think the body, and here's the thing: I don't think prior bodies of work should be heavily weighed in on this. But there's a stat we're going to talk about later. You know how much we don't like to talk about analytics, and Grumpy loves his analytics. He loves all that stuff. Not the eye test. Grumpy loves just looking at the analytics and numbers. We're going to talk about one analytic, Grumpy, that I think even you might be able to follow along with, that I think proves Sorokin best goalie in NHL so far this season.
He makes a lot of saves. That much I know. In big moments. He made 3 or 4 last night. I was like, oh my gosh, he's just so good. We're so good in net. And like I said, I'm not trying to sell Varlamov short because he's been good too, but he's not even in the same zip code as Sorokin right now. He's just not.
Sorokin's unbelievable. Best goalie in the NHL. And I think it's by a comfortable margin. I remember how we said top 3. We start off the season. Yeah, he's definitely a top 5 guy, no doubt. And then we worked our way up. I can't think of, 3 other. He's top 3. I can't think of, 2 other goalies better than he is. And I think he's the best goalie in the NHL right now. He's having a fantastic year. He has just been completely in the zone. And, we've got to give credit to here's the thing, right? We got to give credit to Lane Lambert.
Absolutely.
And we were talking a little bit about this off air over the Thanksgiving holiday. Lane Lambert immediately rode the hot hand, right? Sorokin was the guy, and we always knew he was the guy, but he played well, and he said, great, I'm going to give you every single opportunity to play as many starts and as many games as possible within reason without wearing your body out for the first quarter of the season. And he's done that. I think the team's benefited in a great way from it.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, so far, Lane Lambert has pushed just about every right button this year. I mean, it's the same cast of characters from the previous year, pretty much, right? Let's be honest. Same, you're talking about Romanov, who's been one of the worst defensemen on the team.
Yeah.
But aside from him, I mean, everybody else is a returner from last year. And the team is playing so much better. It just proves that Barry Trotz had just wore out his welcome. And that's what happens. Same guys there for 4 years, same voice. Eventually, you kind of tune them out a little bit. Time to get somebody else in there. Lane Lambert's done a great job to start the year. Is he coach of the year at the quarter point? No, he's not. I guess you got to go with Jim Montgomery, don't you? I mean, with Boston.
Yeah.
Or the guy out in Seattle.
Why not? I mean, there's a lot to be impressed with what we've seen so far early this year. We've talked about the sustainability questions of it. I think those are still valid. They're questions that I think should be brought forward on shows like ours and other people who talk about the Islanders. I think they're questions that, you would be remiss if you didn't mention. But I like what I've seen from the Islanders goaltending, especially this season. Unbelievable netminder. Sorokin is everything and anything we could have ever imagined. So very, very happy, thrilled, pleased with that. You're seeing some people step their game forward. You had mentioned, Grumpy, that, and let's move this back to that Flyer game. Wallstrom gets into a fight with Tony DeAngelo at the end, and hey, everybody loves it. You had mentioned a little interesting thing that you were thinking about, because Wallstrom has been having a few fights this year. I mean, he's not afraid to mix it up, but you were mentioning you're afraid that he might get labeled as one of those guys who's an enforcery type of player, who's got the ability to snipe, but he's going to get, perhaps he could get lost a little bit in the weeds.
I don't mean it that way. I just mean that guys might try to challenge him. And what does that do? It takes, who's going to challenge him? Is it going to be Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl? No, it's going to be some goon type who's going to challenge him because he's not afraid to drop the gloves. And what does it do? It takes a weapon away from the Islanders, particularly on the power play. I think he's looked really good in the last week or so, much better than he had earlier in the year. He's starting to step it up a little bit. And that's a guy you don't want off the ice, with a 5-minute major for fighting. And I think you could see guys challenge him. He's not afraid to stick up for teammates. And, it could, in the long run, it could cost the Islanders, and I don't want to see that.
Okay. And again, are we maybe blowing this a little out of proportion? Perhaps. But here's the thing. He's fought twice, because he fought Lucas Sandin there for Rasmus Sandin, I'm sorry, for Toronto Maple Leafs. And then later on that week, he wound up fighting Tony DeAngelo. I'm like, Wallstrom's not a guy we see fight too often, but he is, he's tough, he's physical, and he's not afraid, to answer the bell when it's wrong.
Yeah. And like I said, I want to see him on the ice shooting the puck. That's, I don't care if he can win a fight. You could pick up some ham and egg or goon anywhere. We got a guy on our roster who's supposed to be that, but he's not anymore, in the $3 million man, Matt Martin. With depreciation, he's now the $3 million man. He should be taking on that role. Last year, they had Chara to do that, right? I don't want it to be Wallstrom. Put average out there. Let him be the guy to do it. I want Wallstrom on the ice all the time.
Another thing I think that's worth mentioning here, power play's been really good as of late, red hot. We're scoring pretty much almost a power play goal a game over the last 7 or 8 games. We've been a team where I would say over the last 4 or 5 years under Trotz, we've really struggled on the power play. And I'd say we've seen at the beginning of the year, we kind of struggled to coming out of the gates, but our power plays really heated up a lot.
So we'll start with the guy at the top, which is Noah Dobson. And Matt Barzal has been tremendous this year.
Yeah.
Brock Nelson, not afraid to shoot the puck. That's a big thing. You got Anders Lee standing in front of the net doing what he does best. You have to be pleased with their power play. And for the most part, their penalty kill this year. We were dynamite to start season, had a little bit of a lull. It's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But now we've kind of righted the ship a little bit.
Now, you had mentioned, you talked to me off air a little bit about Brock Nelson. You've been one of Brock, a.k.a., as you endearingly put it, Croc Nelson. You've been a very big critic of his. I've always been in the Brock Nelson camp since day one out of the Doug Waite days, but you've been very critical of him. Now, Grumpy, let me ask you this. What have you thought about this season from him? I just want you to share your thoughts.
He's shooting the puck more. His accuracy has improved. He's not hesitating. He's getting it and ripping it. Maybe that's Lane Lambert saying, hey, shoot the puck. Get it on your stick and shoot it. That's what we want, you shooting the puck. Let Matty B do the distributor, and he's been phenomenal at that. Just phenomenal this year. And you know what? We got Dobson. Those guys are the ones who need to pass the puck. Everybody else needs to shoot it. Anders Lee just stand in front of the net. I think that's where you've seen the biggest growth from him from last year. I don't think he's been as good defensively as he was under Trotz, but I think the system has changed a little bit, which maybe that's why he doesn't look like that. I don't think he's necessarily regressed from how he played under Barry Trotz, but for me, the big improvement is his shot this year. He's always had a good shot, but it seems like it's better somehow. So congrats. Like I said, nothing but fair. I don't think he has as many empty net goals as he had in the past. So good for him.
I will say this. I think that you're right. He's got a lot of those beautiful goals, highlight reel type goals, where he just seems to be finding the toy department on a night in, night out basis. He's played really well this season. He's been a guy that realistically, and this is I think a fair assessment to put out there. I don't think anybody thought Brock Nelson was going to continue at the same career pace that he was last year regarding putting the puck in the net.
And he's not. He's not. His shooting percentage is not what it was last year. He's just shooting the puck more.
His shooting percentage is not, but regarding the goals that go in the net, he's close.
He's not 22%. He's not shooting 22%.
No, I'm not, okay, he shot 21 last year, but I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is putting the puck in the net, he's shooting more, right? But I don't think anybody expected him to continue near the same pace where he scored, right? 37 goals last year. The most goals he ever scored in a single season by 11. So by far the best scoring year he had ever had as a professional came when he was 30. I don't think anybody would have thought 24 games into this young season that Brock Nelson would already have 11 goals.
Right, but we didn't think he was going to have double his shot total either.
So, that's correct. Okay, I'm just saying, right? We could say that nobody expected him to score as well as he has this season.
True.
I can't, account for that however you want to. Hey, he's shooting the puck a lot more. He's doing this. He's doing that. I mean, he's still right there, almost about, he's still right on track with his goal total from last year. If he stays healthy the entire year, he'll be right on track for maybe 35, 37 goals. Yeah. Do I think that's sustainable? I don't know, but I think he scored a lot of pretty goals this season.
I don't know if they're pretty. I mean, he's shooting the puck. I think he's shooting the puck better. He's not a guy who scores pretty goals.
When I'm talking about pretty, Grumpy, I'm talking about he's sitting in the slot. He sends off a wrist shot, and it goes top shelf. That's a pretty goal. It's the same type of goal when I see Washington do it. I'm like, that's a pretty goal. I mean, this is not like these aren't Anders Lee's freaking dirty, freaking garbage man goals over here, or freaking Zach Parise, I get a little tapping in front of the net type of goals. That's not what Brock Nelson's putting in. Brock Nelson, all based off his wrist shot.
True. I consider pretty goal something different. That's all. I mean, here's the thing. He's shooting the puck more. He's putting it in the net. That's something we need. He's supplied it this year. Good for us.
Yeah.
Good for us. One thing about our power play, another reason why I think it's been so successful is you're seeing the NHL de-emphasizing size from defensive players and forwards for skills. And we still have a bunch of big physical guys who play on our team. So you're seeing them being able to muscle down low, and get those rebounds, clog the front of the net. It's been really good this year. Real good. Lane Lambert's did a great job. Great job at the quarter point.
And, and another thing worth mentioning is, do we expect everything to be sunshine and rainbows for Lane Lambert for the rest of his time as an Islander head coach? No.
Forever. Yes. Forever.
Forever and ever and ever. No, realistically, we don't expect that. But I think, we had mentioned what we had to do going into the season. Had to get off to a hot start. No matter how it occurred, had to come away with points early and often. We've done that.
Yep.
And I think, right, we talked about it before. It's been an easy portion of the schedule, right? You still have upcoming, right? We beat the Flyers once, then we just recently lost to them. We've got the Predators. They're no great shakes. That's a, below average team in the NHL. You've got the Chicago Blackhawks. That's going to be a lottery team in the NHL. And the St. Louis Blues, another one of those teams that are going to be towards a lottery selection in all likelihood this year also.
They did get hot for a couple of weeks, though.
Was that?
The Blues got hot for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, the Blues also are the same team that lost 7 in a row or something like that when we played them. And they have gotten hot a little bit. But think about how hot they got. They're 11-11 this year.
Yeah. But they were 3 I think they were 3-7 at one point in time.
Yeah, they're 11-11, 22 games into the year for themselves. Completely average.
Sounds like what we were last year.
Yeah, it's just completely middle of the road average team. You got to be beating up on the average teams. You got to beat up on the teams that are below you. It's that simple. And when you look at the Predators, right? The Predators are another one of those teams that are just right around the average mark. 10 wins, 9 losses in regulation, 2 overtime losses. Here's the thing. People always talk about the overtime point. When it comes down to wins and losses, they've got 10 wins, 11 losses. They're an average team. Average by every metric of the word, or every measure of the word. And then you look at the Chicago Blackhawks, right? Okay. 6, 11, and 4. These are really teams we want to come away with points against. We've mentioned our schedule gets really tough after this.
Yep.
And you talk about the Devils, the Hurricanes, the Bruins. The schedule starts getting really tough. We got to continue to beat up and win the games that we're supposed to win.
True. And that's what I think we're doing that for the most part, Flyers game notwithstanding. But like I said, it looks like, if you want to add St. Louis in there, then it's a 9-game stretch. I think we have to win the next 3, because then our schedule gets precipitously more difficult as we go on.
Yeah. You talk about the Devils, the Hurricane, right? Devils, top team in the NHL right now. Unbelievably hot.
Oh, they're second. They're second.
Oh, they get passed up by the Bruins now.
Yeah, Bruins, I think, are first.
Yeah, the Bruins have got themselves 38 points. Yeah, and the Devils have 38 too. And Bruins have a game in hand though.
Yeah,
the Bruins are 19-3. Think about that. The freaking Boston Bruins are 19-3 to start this year. Do I expect them to continue on that pace? Absolutely not.
That's a surprise for me though.
Yeah,
that game. I didn't expect Montgomery, because I think Cassidy's a great coach, and he's proving it with Vegas, right? But it's another one where he'd been there for so long, just need to change it up, and you're seeing Montgomery is benefiting from whatever style he's using is certainly working to begin the year. And what's the thing? Why is Boston so successful, right? All right, yes, they got Marchand back. They got Bergeron and Krejci came back, but you have Ullmark, who's so good in goal. He's been so good this year. A good goaltender gives you a chance every night. That's why it's so key. If you don't have, it's like in the NFL. If you have a really great quarterback, you got a shot to win most every game. In hockey, if you have a great goaltender, you're going to be in every game.
Yeah, he has had a fantastic season, Linus Ullmark, as well. Do I expect him to continue having the best year ever? No. But the one thing I expect Jeremy Swayman to continue to step his game up. He was off to a cold start at the beginning of the year. He's picked it up as of recent. They're a good goalie tandem in Boston. So, it obviously helps when you got a good hand in net. But again, just going back to the toughness of the schedule, Devils, very tough team. Carolina Hurricanes, very tough team. Usually gives us a matchup nightmare and trouble. The Boston Bruins, we got a little bit of a breather there against the Arizona Coyotes. But hey, the last time we played the Coyotes, we were shut out by them. Then we got the Vegas Golden Knights, Colorado Avalanche, New York Rangers, the Florida Panthers, who are off to a very, very slow start, I think you could say, and then the Pittsburgh Penguins. I guess the Blue Jackets and the Kraken are off to a great start this year too. So the schedule, we went from playing a whole bunch of teams that are going to be lottery teams in the last 8 or 9 game stretch to where we're playing a lot of postseason opponents. So this is where I think, we'll find out kind of what the team is made of, after we see this tough stretch. We've beaten up and beaten the teams we need to beat. How are we going to do against the teams that are playoff caliber teams?
Yeah. And that's the measuring stick, right? Like I mentioned the last couple of podcasts, you're going to find out what the Islanders are between now and right after Christmas. You're going to find out, because that's a difficult part of our schedule. If we come out with a winning record there, I'm like, all right, I'm feeling good. Then I'm saying, okay, we're absolutely going to make the playoffs, because if you can come out a little bit better than 50-50 against the playoff caliber teams and take care of business against the weaker teams, you're absolutely going to make the playoffs. And again, Sorokin's been phenomenal. I don't think we've played exceptionally well. We've been outplayed by teams, even poor teams, for long stretches, maybe 2 periods a game. But I don't know if it's just if we have more legs, which is surprising to me in the third period. But it almost seems like we're just like bees around you know,
Bees around like kids like who were like bees that around a soccer ball, just kind of like following the puck.
I mean, just we're really, really good in third periods. I mean, yesterday was probably the first game that I saw where the Islanders didn't look like we were going to score in the third period. That's the first game all year.
Remember, and it's worth noting this, the Islanders have been a fantastic third period team. Most goals in the third period out of any other team in the NHL. We're averaging about 1.5 goals every game in the third period. 1.5 goals in the third period. Put that into context. Most teams on the high end of the scoring scale are scoring like 3 goals a game this early in the season. We are averaging 1.5 goals a game in the third period.
Think about that. What if it's 4.5? Let's say you play every period the same, 4.5 goals a game. That's like an NHL record. It's just, I mean, there's no explaining for it or to even figure out how it's even possible game after game. I just feel confident, last night notwithstanding, that if it's a tight game, 1-goal game going to the third period, we're going to win that game. And I mean, it didn't happen last night, but for the most part, it has this year.
Yeah, it has grown. I'm trying to pull up here. There's some interesting stats we want to talk about, right? We've talked a little bit about Sorokin, fantastic play we've seen from him, right? And we're talking obviously about all of the positives we've seen so far this quarter way point. We've seen a lot of positives, right? We're going to also talk about some areas where I think we need to, possibly talk about things leveling off. But there are a lot of things to be positive about. When we talk about Sorokin, this is goals saved above expected. So, I mean, again, assuming you're supposed to give up so many goals per how many chances you face and how many high danger chances other teams have. I know we're going to get caught in the analytics weeds here for a second, but bear with us, please. Goals saved above expected. Sorokin, 19.8 goals saved above expected. Now, again, for those who are only listening to it, number 2 on that list is Carter Hart with 13. Sorokin is more than 6.8 goals saved above expected by the number 2 goalie in the NHL per this metric.
Yeah, I don't even know what the metric means. All I know is if you got a high number, that's a good thing. I think after Carter Hart, who was 13 something, then you saw a couple guys at 11, a couple guys at 10, and then 9.
I forgot I didn't actually have this.
There you go.
So I do apologize. Everybody was in the dark there. Many apologies.
Let's just say that the difference is stark between 1 and 2 when you look at everybody else on the list.
And even as you continue to scroll down, like the top 10, you have about really, right? You've only got 5 goalies that are in double digits and goals saved above expected. Sorokin's almost at 20.
And
Unfreaking real.
We don't know what Carter Hart would have been because he was really struggling before last night's game.
Yeah.
So he must have been really sensational early for them.
He was, and that's what they talked about on the Flyers, their broadcast. So this was as of November the 26th. But Sorokin has been unfreaking real. Just so you get a kind of a picture of it, he's about a full standard deviation above every single other goalie that's out there in the NHL right now. Unfreaking real. That's how well Sorokin's played. Almost a full standard deviation above any other goalie in goals saved above expected. Unfreaking real.
Holy standard deviation, Batman. I don't even know what that
standard
means.
Deviation, Batman is right. So I tell you, you cannot be upset with what we saw from him. Do you think it's sustainable? That's a whole different question. I think he's a fantastic goalie. I don't expect him to fall off the face of the earth, but do I expect him to be having a Shesterkin last year type of year? Probably not. But
what were Shesterkin's numbers last year? Do you know?
Yeah, I'll pull them up here.
I mean, yeah, I'm interested what the all-time number is for a season. I mean, I don't even know how far it goes back. Probably not too far. But it'd be interesting to see. I mean, that's at 19.8 just sounds kind of ridiculous. And he's played a whole lot of games.
So Shesterkin, he had a 9.35 save percentage and a 2.07 goals against average.
Okay, what were his GSA X numbers?
Oh,
last
hold
year.
on a second. Oh shit, his GSAX
That's
numbers.
the
Damn
number
it.
that you
Okay, oh god, I need somebody who does this stuff and has that stuff readily available.
that's like the plus 19.8. What was Shesterkin's last year? And then what do we have any type of records for, best season ever? It seems like it's ridiculously high, but I don't know what I'm measuring it against because, as you know, I'm not into the analytics thing at all.
I know. This is where we need Phil or somebody who
At
does the
all.
analytics stuff. Let me see here.
Anything when I see some type of pie chart and I'm like, oh, stop, please. Just stop. I don't need that. I got my eyes. I can tell who does what out there. It's for the untrained. It's for the untrained individual that they look at those things.
Okay, here. Damn, it's only showing me the last 10 games. I tell you, let's try this here. I'm gonna try to get it pulled up here, Grumpy. But just to talk about Sorokin, right? What he's done this season, been fantastic. I mean, you look at it, the start of this year, a 9.33 save percentage and a 2.18 goals against average. Unbelievable, unreal.
I mean, very comparable to what Shesterkin did last year. Of course, we're only at the quarter point. It's still early yet, right? A little bit past the quarter point. Played 24 games. But he's been tremendous so far. Better than advertised. They should be working on a contract extension for him now. Right now, they should be working on a contract extension for him. Cap's going to go up. Sign him now. Just do it. I mean, we got 2 years left before a lot of the old guys are, their contracts are up. Let's give this guy the money now. Save some money in the future by signing him now. That's what I say.
Tried to stall long enough, Grumpy, but unfortunately, I am just too inept when it comes to this type of shit. When it comes to these analytics nonsense for me.
I just don't know how they come.
This one is easy enough for me to understand, but tough enough for me to freaking figure out where to find this stuff readily available.
I don't understand all situations, expected goals against. I don't even know what the hell that means. What's an
expected goal? Like if you're facing a tough shot against, right? You're expected to give up that goal so many % of the time. I'm ready to move on to the next topic because I feel like our listener base doesn't really do too much with the analytics either.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you're talking about here, regarding the saves above. Hold on. Here we go. This is it. Somebody sent it to me. Whoever did this, you're a legend. Joe sent this to us here. Let me get this pulled up. Okay, let me see. Holy shit. His numbers are pretty damn good on that little metric, Grumpy. Sorokin doesn't have him that great, but regarding the goals saved above expected average.
I thought you said you had the information.
4.73 question mark? That can't be right.
No.
That can't be right. I don't know. I'm out of my freaking. Oh, I'm sorry. In all action, he had 15.75% in all situations. So his number was 15.75 last year. Shesterkin's was 15.75 on that fantastic year he had last year. Sorokin's right now sitting at about 19.8.
I'll say the only guy that I'm interested in historically would be Dominik Hasek. I mean, I don't even know. I don't even think they didn't. These made up stats that they have now didn't exist back in the day. But I just know he was sensational in that. I mean, Sorokin, he's just making saves every night that are like, okay, that should have counted as 2 goals.
Highlight reel saves. And, he's a guy that we have to be extremely excited about. We love what he's done. And, it's just, do I think that's sustainable? Maybe not. I mean, just based off the law of averages, I'd say probably not. But again, he's a fantastic netminder. I think he, if he stays healthy, knock on as much wood as humanly possible. If he stays healthy, I think he's the front runner right now for the Vezina. So that's definitely something to be very happy and proud of so far this year at the quarterway point for the Islanders.
And I guess Ullmark has been tremendous as well.
Yeah, his save, his GSAX, his goals saved above expected, is not as high as Sorokin's. So it means he's facing less dangerous chances than Sorokin is, because the Islanders defense. This is something that I do want to kind of transition, has not been great this year. We have not been good defensively this season. How many breakaways and 2-on-1 opportunities are we hemorrhaging and giving away to other teams?
Yeah, it's been bad. But he's been so good, and so is Varlamov.
Well, that's what I want to say. When your goalie is so fantastic, it kind of masks the many mistakes your defensemen make.
Yeah,
It
without a doubt.
conceals it, Grump.
And you remember when I said before we went into the season, I said Sorokin's numbers might not be as good, where he could actually be playing better because of the change in system, because he's going to have a whole lot more high danger chances. That has not been the case so far this year. He's been just as good, and his numbers are just as good, better even than last year, when he's getting hung out to dry a little bit more than he did last year. He's taken a big step up in his game. Tremendous. Just tremendous.
Oh, Grumpy, I may have made a screw up. Here's the thing. There's a reason we don't talk about these damn analytics. I think maybe I got the wrong one. That was maybe just a playoff round. Shesterkin, long story short, Shesterkin, unbelievable year last year. And Sorokin off to a fantastic year this year. Okay, so it was actually D-Cut sent this to us. D-Cut has sent this to us.
He loves Matt Barzal. It's his favorite player. He's also a member of the Isles Misery Rated R. Fantastic Facebook page for like-minded Islander fans, and they're willing to take anybody in. You just have to be a realist.
Okay, you know what? I'm done with the analytics. I got to look at that stuff later. It's too damn complex for me to try to figure out which one means which and all the different verbiage.
But it seems like that's a counting stat, then, right? That's
yes, they use that to determine, right? If you're getting, long story short, if you're facing a whole bunch of really tough chances and you're coming up with a lot of saves, that number is going to be really high. That's a good thing.
Okay.
So to keep that simple for my simple-minded brain, good thing when numbers high. And Sorokin's got a high number on that. Very good start to the season. I think our defense has been underwhelming. From what I expected this year, I think our defense has been underwhelming. I expected Romanov was going to help solve some of those issues. We've had Aho, who, brings a lot more offensive punch to the party.
He's been way better.
Yeah, he's really improved. He's really improved. But I think Salo would have improved as well. So,
all right, Romanov was so bad, they had to put him with Mayfield.
Yeah, yikes.
That's the reason, because he's just not defensively responsible enough. And so he's got to be with Mayfield. They were getting hung out to dry. He and Dobson is because he was all over the damn place, where Scott Mayfield stay at home. So you can take some of that when he's back there. That's why I always felt Pelech, Dobson, Pulak, Romanov, Aho, Mayfield. Those are for this particular group. That should be, in my opinion, the 3 defense pairings. I mean, is Aho a perfect defensive partner for Noah Dobson? No, he's not, because it means that Dobson has to stay back more to help on defense, because Sebastian Aho, he's just not the biggest guy, and he get muscled. I mean, I like what he's doing out there. I'm a big fan of his. Everyone knows that. And I think he's played extremely well this year, but he's always going to have that physical limitation when it comes to taking out offensive people in front of the net. Just never going to change just because of his size. And did you hear that Kris Letang had his second stroke today?
Yes, he has. Remember, for all those who have forgotten the original, Kris Letang had a stroke, his first stroke, many years ago. I want to say it was close to like 7 or 8 years ago he had his first stroke. He has a little hole in his heart, for those unaffiliated, that usually closes on its own, but did not in his situation. And he had a stroke about 7 or 8 years ago, in which, when he had that stroke, he missed about 7, or I think it was like a month or 2 of action. So quite a few games he had missed with his health complications. In that serious stuff. And he had another stroke again on Monday.
But he doesn't think he'll be out that long with this one. For me, it's like, dude, you need to take care of yourself. I don't even mean take care of yourself, because he obviously does, but it's like, you need to start thinking about some other things. Like, okay, here's the thing. I don't know what the main causes of stroke are. I mean, I know what it does. I know how it works, but I don't know if they're, playing hockey. Does that increase your chance of having a stroke? I don't know.
I assume all sorts of physical activity that are pushing your body's limits are not good for
Well,
your heart's health to a
it's
certain extent.
it's like Christian Eriksen, who plays for the Denmark national team and used to in soccer and used to play for, gosh, I don't know who,
Tottenham. He
number
used
of,
to play for Tottenham, but he
yeah,
plays for Man United now.
where he died on the field just 2 years ago. Died on the field. They brought him back to life. I mean, it's like, would you be playing again? I think I'm just kind of, you know what? Yeah, it's great to be able to play a sport at a high level. I mean, he's back playing again, but it's like, man, you died on the field. Something obviously went wrong, and they
Mm.
could never figure it out. It's like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I'd be willing to run that risk, but he is.
It's everybody has what they want to do, and Letang is at the end of his career. It could be depending on what I mean, like he could be towards the tail end where it's like, hey, maybe I've got a year. Maybe this is the last year, or maybe a year after that. Right? That entire window for the Pittsburgh Penguins team is, we talk about our window for the Islanders closing and closing fast, where it may have already closed. It's the same situation for the Penguins too. Look at how many of those players that are top tier producers and important pieces of that puzzle that are all well into their mid or late 30s. It's you could it's going to be a domino effect, I think, for them too.
Yeah, just like us, but even more so for them because their best players are the older guys.
Yep.
Gensel is younger. They got a couple of younger guys, but they're real big guns. Crosby, Malkin, Letang. They're all up there in their 30s.
And thank you, Joseph, for sending this to me. I for whatever reason, I didn't know he could highlight it for me. He highlighted, I think, the link where it's sent in. But the goals saved above expected for Shesterkin last year was at 37.24. So I'm sorry, ignore what I said before. Sorokin's is not that good, but still best in the NHL to this point. And Shesterkin last year on that fantastic season, 37.24 goals saved above expected averages. So
Yeah, I don't know if that's a counting thing or just I don't know how they figure it out. It doesn't matter.
anyway, long story short, Shesterkin had a really great year last year. The Rangers defense, and this is how I see us and the Rangers somewhat comparable. The Rangers defense last year was less than stellar. I'd argue awful. But their goaltending was so unbelievable with Shesterkin that he bailed them out of so many situations that he covered up some of those mistakes, or covered it up at least on the scoreboard. The Islanders have been getting away with a lot of that too. I think we've had a lot of defensive mistakes. I think we get guys sometimes where Mayfield's below the freaking dot, and you're just like, oh, he's way out of position here. And you got a 2-on-1 break coming the other direction, but Sorokin comes up big. Sorokin or Varlamov.
I think the only thing that the difference between the Rangers last year and us this year is they were just way better offensively with their talent base than ours is. I mean, they won a lot of blowout games last year, where that's not the case for us. The games are still close. They're just coming down to the wire. I mean, we're having them have tremendous comebacks. I just don't know how sustainable that is over the course of a season. It's worked out great so far. I mean, 8 come from behind victories out of 15. I mean, that's like fantasy world stuff. I don't know. I just don't know if it's something we can count on going forward. That's all. And as we play more difficult teams, better teams moving forward, are we going to see that change somewhat? Like I said, the month of December it's going to be a real telling month for the Islanders for this year.
So and just to put it in perspective, of the 15 wins we have, over half of those wins, right, we've come from behind. We've come from behind from a deficit to win. That is not something we're familiar with under Barry Trotz hockey. Usually, right, we score first under Barry Trotz hockey. We play, button-up defense. We go ahead and we fight to just save and hold on to a lead. And then maybe we get another one when the team is sleeping, where we catch them in a counter, and we want up winning the game. We've seen a lot of more energetic and entertaining hockey on this side. And you look at the total games played, 24 games played. We've had 5 games where we've come from behind to win in the third period. So, if you're thinking about it, right, over 25% of all the games we've played this season, we have had a come from behind victory in the third period.
Actually, of our wins, it's 33%. 5 out of 15 is
No,
30.
I'm saying of all the games played so far this year. I'm talking about every game played. Wins, losses, doesn't matter. 25% of all the games we've played have been a result. We've seen the result of a come from behind victory in the third period.
I dare say that's not sustainable.
That's my point, right? And that's what I think every Islander fan, right? We should appreciate, be happy with what we've seen, be cautiously optimistic.
We need someone to go through the archives of the history of the NHL and tell us what the record is come from behind victories in the third period for a season. What's the greatest percentage? I bet it's less than 25%.
I would assume so. So I don't expect us to continue to win, 25+% of all. I don't expect us to win 25% of all games played with a come from behind third period victory. So it's worth taking that all into account. And here's the important thing to say as well. I know we said we've got 3 softer opponents compared to the next stretch upcoming. Even if we struggle against the tougher teams, I still am cautiously optimistic, and I still think the team is a above average team. Even if we do horribly against these tough opponents, I still think we're an above average team. Would you agree with that, Grumpy?
I think it all depends on the other team's goaltender. Here's the thing, teams with bad goaltending are not going to beat us.
I agree with that.
I just don't see it. I'm watching these games, and I guess I'm spoiled, right? It's like when you watch greatness all the time, and like I like to mention Tom Brady, hero of the people.
God,
when you watch greatness year after year, you watch other people, it's like, man, these guys suck. It's not that they suck. It's that the other guy is so fantastic and phenomenal that he makes everyone else look like they suck. That's what Sorokin is doing. Haven't seen Ullmark play. So, but like I said, Carter Hart, I thought played extremely well last night, and we lost that game. Most Islander games that I watched this year, the goaltending just sucks. And I tell you, right, TJ, off air, I'm like, man, these guys just suck. Ottinger looked good in Dallas.
He looked great.
And it seems like the games where the other team's goaltending is pretty good, those are the games we lose.
Yeah.
But if the goaltending is substandard, we're beating that team, I want to say 9 times out of 10. Maybe 9.5 out of 10. It's a credit to how good our goaltending is.
Fantastic.
I mean, and just shows you how much value Varlamov would have on the trade market.
Oh, yeah. He absolutely would have a lot of value.
There are so many teams out there that are a little bit behind us in the standings or very close to us who don't have a goaltender where, we got beat by the Islanders. Well, it's their goaltending. Take Varlamov in their thing. They got to like their chances, right? What does that make Varlamov's value? First plus going into the trade deadline?
It depends. I'll be interested. Here's the thing. We're not going to trade him. We're not trading any pieces this year away. I'm letting you know. That's the unfortunate thing, right? The worst case scenario is we fight, we have a great season, or we make the postseason, and let's say we're middle of the road. Right now, we're 6th. I believe we're 6th in the NHL out of all teams.
Okay. In goals against?
No, 6th in the NHL with points.
Yes.
Total points on the season.
Yeah.
So, we're top 10 in the NHL. I could see us.
We have games in hand. I mean, other teams have games in hand.
Correct.
But still, I mean, you'd have to say at the quarter pole, and I realize we're a little bit, I'm just going to say the quarter pole, even though we're a couple of games past it.
We didn't podcast during Thanksgiving. So for us, all intents and purposes, it's the quarter pole.
Okay. I think everyone should be pleased with where we're at. Yes. I know I am. Like I said, we're going to find out the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks. This is going to tell us about the rest of the season.
I will also say this. Even if we're in a position to where we're kind of, let's say, on the right towards the tail end of the postseason, or we're right towards the tail end of a playoff spot, I firmly believe we're going to buy additional assets. And I was talking about the worst case scenario for this year. Worst case scenario is just like 31 other teams in the NHL, we don't win a cup, and we're in a spot to where we buy additional pieces at the deadline, not even to make a push or really a postseason run. And we're a team that the window has already closed. That's the worst case scenario for us. Anything else, I think we're looking at in a more cheery way, right? If we're in a spot to where we even stand still, we don't go ahead and trade away picks, or even if we win a cup, right? Best case scenario, we win a cup, right? Likelihood of that, I don't put us at a high chance of that, even with the good start we've had this season.
Yeah, and it's a long time. It's a long ways away from the deadline.
We've talked about injuries, right? We've been a team that's very healthy, but it's worth mentioning this. Yesterday, Josh Bailey was in warmups, but he had an upper body injury, was unable to play. And thank you here for Eve for sending this to me, I believe. Islanders, now this just came out a little while ago, could potentially be down 3 forwards. Josh Bailey, Kyle Clutterbuck, who's injured, and Kyle Palmieri, who's been out for a while, for Friday night's game against the visiting Predators. So this definitely may have an implication on the Islanders roster. Aatu Ratu was not in Bridgeport's lineup, so we may get to see Aatu Ratu up playing for the Islanders come Friday.
I mean, I have a question for you. Are any of those guys a big loss for us?
I don't think so, but here's the thing, right? We talk about the injuries, right? We talked about it at the beginning of the year. This is the best Islanders team we're going to see. We're completely healthy, and we went down a scenario. Now we're starting to pick up a few injuries. Remember we talked about how everything levels out. This is going to be something. We're going to have a team that's going to have injuries throughout the rest of the year. We're not going to be ever completely healthy once the remainder of the season, probably.
Okay, but if they're not long-term injuries, just some little, niggling stuff where they miss a game, maybe 2, that's fine. I mean, what you want to avoid is like, a guy's going to be out a month or 2. Barzal's going to be out 2 months. Brock Nelson's going to be out a month and a half. Those, or Pellick and Pulak, or Dobson's going to be out a month. Those are the type of injuries that really hurt you. A game here or there, you can overcome that. Guys pick up the slack. They absolutely do. Of course, we're looking at this group here. You're looking at a 4th liner and 2 third liners. I mean, very easily you could have somebody come in and fill in for those roles, right? You figure that, okay, Ross Johnson's absolutely going to play, right? You figure maybe they call up Ratu to play. I mean, there you go. And you got Holmstrom's already up there. So, I mean, there are your replacement pieces right there. I'm not too concerned about these 3 particular players. I'd be more concerned if our forward group who we were missing is like Barzal, Lee, and Nelson.
Well,
then I'd be concerned.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was going to say, what do you think would happen if we were to miss one of those guys? like a Matt Barzal, who's been fantastic this year, or like a Brock Nelson? I think we would we'd struggle a lot.
I don't think, a lot of people like to focus on, Matt Barzal hasn't scored any goals. He's the whole offense for this team. Yeah. He is taken his game to another level since signing that contract extension. His creativity is just setting everyone else up. He's been spectacular this year.
Nobody can complain with what they've seen unless you're just simply saying he's getting paid the most. Not only should he assist the most, be the offensive playmaker, be a leader on and off the ice, but he also should score more goals than anybody else out there. You have to have you have to have really high expectations for a guy like that if you're dissatisfied with what we've seen this season. And if that's the case, I can only imagine how dissatisfied you are with Josh Bailey.
He's team's leading scorer at more than a point a game. I mean, those just facts.
Yep.
I mean, I don't see why there's nothing you can complain about with his play this year. Nothing.
He's not scored as many goals as Brock Nelson.
Well, he's had a little bit of puck luck, right? Hitting a lot of crossbars. Guys making great saves on him. It happens. It happens. How is he playing overall? That's what you have to look at. Look at how much he's setting everyone else up. Why? Maybe Lane Lambert saying, shoot the puck more. Be ready to receive a pass from Matt Barzal. get into an open spot. He's going to get you the puck, shoot the puck. Brock Nelson on the power play, for example. I mean, these are the type of things you're looking for. I mean, you look at JG Pajot has 4 power play goals this year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's been good. Dobson has 3. Anders Lee has 3. Of course, his are the little chip-in variety, right? But, I mean, I don't think you can complain about where we're at. I mean, Noah Dobson has 3 from the point. I mean,
the results we've seen, I don't think anybody can complain about. I think the only thing you can complain about is, or not complain about, but the only thing you should be really dubious of is the sustainability. If we were doing this 50 games into the season, I'm sorry, right? You could have questions about sustainability. Maybe you don't think it's done in the postseason, but if you're doing still everything like that 50 games into the year, and Sorokin's posting around a 9.4 save percentage and has, a goals against average that's leading the NHL, well, shit, he's just on track to be the best goalie that year. He's not going to drop off of planet Earth. You just want to make sure he's well enough rested for the postseason.
The thing that you have to remember is the NHL, particularly the playoffs, is a war of attrition.
Correct.
How do we react being an older roster? We saw what happened last year when we got down the stretch.
Yeah.
It's like, do you kind of just wear out at the end? We're not playing the same grinding style for the most part, but the old guys are expending a whole lot of energy coming back every third period, every game. That takes a lot out of you. We're not getting a whole lot of blowout wins where we can kind of coast, if you will, in the half of the second period, third period. We're not having a whole lot of those games where teams just giving up. When you're coming from behind, those teams are battling too. You got to fight tooth and nail. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible to do, but I think it's tough to sustain full year. That's all.
Yep. Again, so a lot of things, big takeaways, quarter of the way through the season. A lot of things to be very excited about, to be happy about with what we've seen. Things to also be very cautious about. So again, leaves me as cautiously optimistic. I think as most fans should be. I think that's the way you're looking at this as well, Grumpy, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at who's playing really well. Noah Dobson. And I look at the younger guys. Why? Because they have room for growth. Right? That's the whole thing. They have room for growth. So you see Noah Dobson's on pace for a 20-goal season. Yeah. I'm like, that's pretty good. Right?
Great.
20-plus goal season, 60 points. That's pretty good. Those are $10 million a year guys, aren't they?
They are of the $10 million a year variety, Grumpy, the future $10 million a year type of guy.
What would you say if the Islanders tried to bring in Erik Karlsson, who's having an absolute bounce back year this year?
Wow. So that's a whole different can of worms if you brought in Erik Karlsson. Number one, huge cap hit he still has, and he still has more term tied to it. But you talk about this year, right? This is the at least offensive production. This is the Erik Karlsson of old. This is the Erik Karlsson that was averaging over a point a game. I mean, he's on track right now to have like over 100 points this season. That would be a career high for him.
Yeah, he's been tremendous.
25 games played in the league this year. 11 goals, 21 assists. That's
pretty good.
He is shooting the highest shooting percentage ever recorded in the history of him playing. So that is also worth noting. And he also is playing still like 25 minutes a night. But he's having a fantastic year, fantastic bounce back. I never would have expected it from Erik Karlsson this year. And I don't watch enough San Jose games to tell you exactly the reasoning as to why he's had this renaissance.
Right. And you look at how many goals the Islanders defense has had this year.
A lot.
26 now out of the 68. That's an awful lot for this defense. But you're seeing every single game, you're seeing Mayfield going low, Pellet going low, Dobson going, everyone's going low right on the side of the net. And it's like, okay, when it works, it's great, but you're really exposed on a counterattack. And that's the thing against good teams you really have to worry about.
Erik Karlsson still has 4 more years left at $11.5 million every year, AAV. He'll be 36. He's 32 now. He'll be 33 next year, 34, 35, 36.
Wouldn't you think San Jose would have to eat some of that contract?
The price of that it's such a weird one because I cannot recall the last time I still think here Erik Karlsson is a defensive liability. The only thing that could ever offset how much of a liability he is on his own side of the net is the fact that he puts the puck in the net so damn often. But it's one of those things to where you think to yourself, when's the last time a guy who's been a Norris Trophy winner that's on a huge contract that's 11.5 million AAV has been traded, who has had really a few stinky years in a row and having one really great, renaissance season? It doesn't happen. It would be almost like a trailblazer of something like that occurring.
I'm sure there's been times when somebody was traded. I'm sure there has been. He's been he was good the second half of last year, but he struggled the last number of years. And he makes so much money. San Jose's in full rebuild mode. They're just looking to move contracts off.
Grumpy, let's go ahead and get into our ad read, then get to some comments. But I think the big takeaway before we get into comments, quarter way through the season, happy with the results we've seen on the ice. There's some things that definitely still have question marks around them. There are some things I don't think that are sustainable, but I'm cautiously optimistic, and I still firmly believe this is an above average team. But today's podcast, Grumpy Old Man, is brought to you guys by DraftKings. Hockey fans light the lamp this winter with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers can bet just $5 pregame money line on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. And if that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into even bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot at an even bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code THPN and bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code THPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes in the description for additional details.
Yeah, I like it.
Absolutely. We got Pony Boy Curtis saying, boys. What are we going to complain about tonight?
We don't complain about anything. We speak the truth.
That's correct.
Pony Boy Curtis, we speak the truth.
Frank Grumpy's got a comment for you. Look at that, Grumpy. Isn't it crazy? I had a short comment, and you've got this very long one to read.
That's okay. I'm fine with it. It's a recipe for disaster when most games you play like crap in the first and second, then decide to turn it on the third. That gets played out, and the magic disappears. This isn't a Hulk Hogan match where he gets beat up most of the match, then hulks up and wins. This pattern has to stop. And that's what we mentioned earlier. It could be problematic, probably will be. Right now, it's working for us, so we're not complaining, but it could be an issue against better teams, which we're going to find out. Like I said,
it will be an issue. Let me go one step further. It will be an issue.
Well, I'll say it could be. We don't know if it will be, but we're going to find out in the next month. The next month is going to tell you all you need to know about this team.
How much Hulkamania juice do the New York Islanders have, Grumpy?
I'm going to tell you something, brother. We've been saying our prayers, eating our vitamins, and putting the puck in the net in the third period. What you going to do when Islander country runs wild on you? Woo!
See, Tony Cheese, that's something that you need to clip and add to the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man Clips channel, Tony Cheese. I'm calling you Tony Cheese. That's something you clip right now. I'm just giving him a hard time.
And I even threw a little Ric Flair woo in there, too.
I liked it. Pony Curtis says, TJ, never put yourself or your dad in a situation where you guys look like incompetent fools with a guest as cool as Greg Prado ever again. Wow. I guess you don't want Greg back on the show, Pony Boy saying. No, yeah, here's the thing. I'm like a fish out of water when we talk music, but I try my best. Matthew S. And we love Greg. Greg's a great guy, great Islander fan too. Matthew S. says here, good evening, ladies. That's right. A very large contingent of ladies listen to this show and watch the show. Brandon Gaines says it's 8:25, not 8 o'clock.
It's never 8 o'clock.
Run slow.
Ever.
Curtis says also Grumpy's bland, tasteless, generic, over-the-counter, boomer-esque type music takes were pitiful, and he should be embarrassed.
Here's the difference between you and me, Pony Boy. I'm not embarrassed with anything I do.
There it is. Oh, there it is. And yes, I messed up the intro. What can I say? Frank K says Bavillier is a bum. His hockey IQ is very low. What have you thought about Bavillier? I think he's been playing better lately, but what have you thought about him so far this season?
He needs a change of scenery.
Yep, I agree.
He needs a change of scenery. I mean, he's got 5 goals, right? He's
goals,
right
5
there.
assists.
I mean, he's right there with Parise, Palmieri, all those guys. They're all in the same mix. We have some guys that. Here's the thing. I love the goals we've scored, but it's not like one guy is standing out. We're getting a lot of balance. And he's right in that balance group. Not the top, not the bottom, in the middle.
I'll tell you this. A guy who has put up a lot of points that I was not expecting to have the bounce back that he has, Jean-Gabriel Pageau. I mean, again, he's had some empty net points, like empty net assists and empty net goals, so I think it skews it. I think, he's a guy who has played much better this year than he did last year, but I still think he's not the same guy.
He's been better this year, though.
Yeah,
I think he's been better.
Yeah, better this year, but not the same guy. Tommy B, Coach Tommy B, Grumpy of Coach Baffy's Corner says here, good evening, teaching the Grumpy Old Man, always on time.
It's 8 o'clock TJ time. You know what that means.
And it was a bad loss last night.
Yeah, you know what, though? If it wasn't against the Flyers, I'm like, okay, it's a toss-off. You're going to have those games because I thought we played poorly. But it just had to be against the damn Flyers. Anybody with them. I'd rather lose to Toronto with Tavares than the Flyers. I'd rather lose to the Rangers than the Flyers because I despise the Flyers. There's no team in sports I hate more than the Philadelphia Flyers. Not a one. I don't root for them ever in anything. As I've said on this podcast many, many times before, I've rooted for the Russians during the height of the Cold War over the damn Flyers. I just hate them.
My God. Oh, Pointer Curtis says he was coming out. He said, Grumpy has zero to contribute musically to any conversation. Any of his takes can be purchased over the counter. One size fits all. No creativity or pizzazz. Completely generic and contemporary. Just stick to commenting on sports in the future.
See, that's the whole thing, though, Pony Boy. What you don't understand is I appeal to the masses. You're a fringe element. That's cool. But, I appeal to everyone.
Peter S. saying Ross Johnston gives us almost nothing.
They managed to suck the life out of Ross Johnston.
I like what I always saw out of Ross Johnston. He's playing the wrong role, too.
Yes. Well, you notice he played last night. And were there any fisticuffs last night?
The first 2 or 3 minutes of the game where both Matt Martin and Ross Johnston got into a fight, and that was it.
That's it. Then the Flyers said, no, we don't want any more of that. No more of that. Yep. They're too tough for us.
Tommy B also said we missed the net a lot with our shot opportunities last night.
That's what happens when the goaltender's playing really, really well. You're trying to pick spots, and it's hard to do, particularly if you're not a natural sniper, which most of our guys are not.
Matthew S. says it was not an acceptable effort or result.
Yeah, I'd say hindsight being 2020, I thought the worst game we played this year was probably against the Devils, but the Devils were pretty darn good. Yeah. So that I don't count that one anymore. This was a bad loss against and a bad effort against a bad team. Arizona was maybe second.
Frank K says here, Ross and Martin cannot be in the same lineup. The Islanders sucked last night.
Yeah, it's true. Can't have them both. It's one or the other.
Big Time says release Ross Johnston.
No,
man. It's if we sign into that contract, we continue to sign into those contracts solely just to play as a healthy scratch backup role for us. You cannot have in today's NHL, you cannot have 2 Matt Martins or 2 Ross Johnsons in the lineup every night. You just can't have it, but we still do it. We did it under Trotz and we do it under Lambert. Couldn't tell you why. Matthew S. says, honestly, I don't think Philly was that great. We played down to them, down to their level.
They have a slightly above AHL level roster right now.
Their roster sucks. Their roster's awful. And their backup goalie that we played against on Friday was atrocious.
He was an abomination in that. It wasn't Friday. I think it was Saturday. He was an abomination. That kid, I'm like, holy crap, he sucks. I think one of the goals, he just wouldn't get up. It's like, what are you doing? I was yelling at the screen, like, get up. It was so tough watching. And that's what I'm saying. I watch other teams' goaltenders. I'm like, you guys suck. And maybe they don't suck so bad. It's just that Sorokin is so good. You're used to seeing greatness in the goaltending position. And then you look at the other team, and it's like they're just ham and eggers.
Tommy B, thanks for the correction. He says the Islanders play Columbus on Black Friday. That's right, with the back-to-back. So on Saturday, we play the Flyers. Interesting tidbit on the Flyers, again, because I watched the first game. I watched the Flyers stream or the Flyers coverage. The Flyers on the second half of back-to-back games are 0-5-0 this season.
Not
Haven't
anymore.
won a single – no, they're still 0-5-0.
The Flyers?
Correct. They have not won a single game when they're playing a back-to-back. They've not won the second half of a back-to-back once all year long. They're 0-5-0. So they're a team that, again, they've been through a huge right. The Islanders, the first time we beat them, they were on a 9-game losing streak. So, like, again, we don't control who's in front of us, but ideally both of those games should have been games we won. Right? A team's not going to lose 15 in a row. But, I mean, like, shit, when they're on a 9-game losing streak and you've got back-to-back games against them, you ideally want to win both of those.
You lose 10 games in a row, and they wound up being 10 games in a row. You lose 10 games in a row, you're not making the playoffs.
Ask us last year. We did the same shit.
Yeah, you lose that many games in a row, you're out of the playoff picture. It's just no coming back from that. An eighth of the season, and you get no points, forget it. Actually, I think they had 3 loser points, but still,
I don't care about loser points. The loss is a loss. People always try to, we got loser point. I'm like, dude, it's a loss. Put Curtis says here, boys, how do you feel about the 4-game sample size of Casper Holmstrom?
Meh.
I thought the first game he looked the best. I think since he's been on the ice, I think it's the best I could say about him. The first game, I saw him fighting hard along the boards. He didn't look like that against both games in Philly. Getting beat along the boards consistently. He's a guy who is a prototypical bottom 6 forward. That's what I could say about his play.
This is what he looked like when I saw him live the last couple of games. Just meh. Nothing stands out about him.
No, Grumpy, he's been fantastic. I love it. Put some more Simon Holmstrom right in my veins.
He's just not very good. He is what he is. He's he's meh. You're not going to see his name highlighted. He's not going to get his number retired. That much I can tell you.
Peter S. said he did nothing the other night besides fight, and he got tagged talking about Ross Johnston. Ponyberg Curtis says here, the chin on that kid could cut glass. He does have a big-ass chin, Simon Holmstrom.
Okay.
That's it.
More pointy down the bottom.
Yeah, it is kind of pointy.
Like to me, Anders Lee has a big chin.
He says it would chisel Lee's chin into a normal-sized chin with the point of Holmstrom's chin.
Okay.
Tony Cheese, the procreator, says here, I gotta tell you, Phil is so calm and composed when he comes on here, but he's a complete degenerate when he's on Twitter.
I think maybe someone hacked his account.
No, he's always like that, Grumpy.
Really?
He's always when he's on Twitter, Grumpy old man. Phil's facts is going out there. He's like he's got a vendetta.
Because we have like these the Twitter thing that TJ has, and occasionally it'll pop up on my phone. I'm like, something Phil. I'm like, oh, Phil. I'm like, what's wrong with you? I say to myself, what's wrong with you, Phil? I don't understand.
Should he just get off of Twitter altogether, Grumpy? Is that what you're saying?
He should. I don't know what he's doing. His wife should just take him off of Twitter. Just say stop. You're embarrassing your children. That's
what is he embarrassing him with, Grumpy? His love for, because Phil is a big fan of Simon Holmstrom. Big fan of Simon.
Well, that should be embarrassing enough.
I tried to lay you up for that one. That was easy.
Yeah, I know, but it's like like I said, TJ. I don't click on them because TJ says if I click on him, he can't click on him. So, and I never respond because I'm not allowed. TJ won't let me.
Well, hold on. You have logged on your phone the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man Twitter handle. I totally forgot to even mention that. We've got a separate podcast we do every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. It's a podcast where we talk all things sports. So we talk NHL, NBA, NFL, college football, World Cup football. We cover anything and everything sports on that show. So if you haven't checked it out, it's called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. It's in the link in the description below. Also, as a featured page here as our YouTube channel. You can see it, TJ ampersand the Grumpy Old Man. So make sure to check that out. But yes, Grumpy, you are logged in on the Twitter page of TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. So sometimes it just, because I look up a lot of Islanders information, sometimes I'll be logged in on that account. And it'll show you based off of here's some Islanders people that I follow or have looked at before. And Phil and Andy Francis, those just happen to be some of the people we follow, Grumpy. So you get little notifications on it.
I just look at something like these guys are insane. I don't know what's wrong with them. Maybe they need to have their medications upped or something. They're just crazy. And they're usually always wrong.
Phil's fiction is an abomination. No, he's not. He's a great guy.
He is a great guy. Great guy. Love Phil.
I'll let you read this one, Grumpy.
Sorokin gives up a softie on Hayes' face-off goal, and the Pulak defensive play goal was a lucky bounce.
I don't think that was a softie. That was one where Romanov. Did you wind up seeing the goal? Because I told you about it, where they won it on the face-off dot. Hayes did a fantastic job. Bavillier knocks the puck out, but Hayes hits it with his skate, feeds it back, and Romanov's like, "Oh shit, that's my guy," and starts skating towards him. And he's a free range shot, and he just he snipes it top shelf against Sorokin.
Okay, so if that's a softie, then half of Brock Nelson's goals this year have been softies. Because that was, I mean, he just snapped it far side. I mean, it's a good shot. I mean, you can't, sometimes you get beat.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a softie at all. Not at all. And the other one was the Sandheim goal on a man short. It's like, what can you do on that?
Just a deflection goal in the net. Brandy Gaines says here, Romanov and Mayfield actually been a very good pair 5-on-5. Pellick is more concerning in my opinion.
Mayfield's making up for Romanov.
I think
they realized they couldn't put him with. They could not have Romanov with Dobson. Dobson's not the greatest defensive defenseman. Now he's smart along the boards. He uses his body well. He's really good, but he's never going to be, Doug Harvey on defense
or Scott Stevens.
That's not his skill set.
No.
Right?
I mean, he's a softer player by nature. He's not a guy who is I'm going to be leading the NHL in hits category like a guy like Romanov could be. He's a guy who is I'd say he's a much more savvy modern day NHL defenseman. And the shitty thing about it is you've got two guys who are not necessarily the most physical defensemen in the world in Aho and Dobson that are back there on the same pairing. You just don't like that.
Dobson is better positionally than Romanov.
Correct. Absolutely.
He gets beat because he's up. He just because of his physical stature, he gets beaten out muscled. But Romanov is still a disaster position wise. But Mayfield's real solid. He has become real positionally solid back there. When he was younger, he'd have those issues where he'd kind of do some dumb things, but he doesn't do them anymore. But Romanov does them all the time. He'll take the ill-advised, I'm going to run this guy, take himself out of position. I'm going to, get a bad penalty that he doesn't need to take. I mean, he's still young and he's got a chance to grow, but smart move by Lane Lambert moving him away from Dobson because he was taking the whole pair down. He was that bad. And it was Romanov, not Dobson.
Yeah, I think worth a 13th overall pick. The more and more I see of him, the more and more I think my initial takes were more on board with what I said. The guy, right? Oh, we talked about what it would Romanov be. And here's the thing. It doesn't get looked at or analyzed on a critical level because we have played and we've had good results this season. If things start to shift, you're going to see a lot of eyes turn to that subject. But I don't think he's played extremely well, at least not to what the expectations, I think, of him were. He was a guy we all knew who hit well, but we thought, oh, he's going to be such a defensive stalwart. He's going to be a top 4 guy. He's got room. People told us all off season long. He's got room to grow offensively. After watching a quarter of the way through the season, Grumpy, we could say definitely, I think he's got no room for offensive growth. And he's a guy who I think defensively is lost at times.
He's good at blocking shots. He's physical.
That's it.
He's just not positionally sound. If he became positionally sound, he'd be okay.
D-cut, Grumpy.
Lambert struggled big time last night. Had Ross on the ice with 30 seconds left in the second, which hurt us, and with less than 8 minutes left in the third. Well, you know what? You got to play. If you're only going to play 11 forwards, just play 11 forwards. Can't do that.
Tommy B says here, tell Bavillier you don't push the puck forward on a face-off in your own zone. Dipshit move. Here's the thing. I'm going to blame him. The play by Kevin Hayes was beautiful. And then you got the defenseman caught sleeping at the switch where he's like, hold on a second. Shit, he's unmarked man. standing literally right near the dot.
That's
anyway.
not what beat us last night.
No, it wasn't.
We were outplayed.
Correct.
But what does it say? I mean, I thought, and here's the thing, a lot of games we've been thoroughly outplayed.
But we have a great third period. That's all it is. We have a good 10 minutes in the third period or a good 5 minutes in the third period, which shifts momentum.
But it's all because of how good Sorokin's been in net. I mean, honestly, without him, what do you think? Sub 500 team?
I'd say team? At best case scenario, 500, probably a sub. Because remember, we have Varlamov still. I think Varlamov is a very competent goalie in the NHL. I mean, there's a lot of really bad goalies in the NHL, which always leads me to believe you can get a lot for Varlamov. But yeah, without Sorokin, at best 500, probably sub 500.
Yeah.
And D-Cut says Dobson has been piss poor at even strength.
I don't believe. I don't. Agree.
What are you expecting from him? He goes from Chara now to freaking Sebastian Aho as his defensive partner. Again, Chara at his age was not known for his amazing defensive prowess. He was just known as a big old freaking big pylon and cone out there. And Sebastian Aho is not known for his defensive skills either.
Put him with Pelech, you'd see it totally different. You'd think about things totally differently.
Dobson's strength is not his defensive play. Dobson's strength is his ability to move the puck, which it's most defense. That's the way the current NHL is. Can you move the puck? Are you good at exiting your own zone? Are you good in transition? Can you skate? Can you be at least positionally aware of what you need to do on your own side? There's a lot of that. That's more the way the NHL is. So again, being hypercritical of what his even strength production looks like when he's being paired again, yet with another new defensive partner. Think about all the new defensive partners Dobson's had. First year in the NHL, Johnny Boychuk. Second year in the league, Chara.
Andy Green.
Andy Green. Fourth or third year in the league, Chara. Fourth year in the league, he's been paired with freaking Romanov for the first 15 games and now Sebastian Aho. The son of a bitch has a new partner every freaking year, it seems like. How are you expecting to build up chemistry with a guy when he plays like 20, 30 games with him and there's a new guy he's a partner with? Right? Nobody's talking about that when they talk about his piss poor play at even strength. He's on with another new partner. It's like a quarterback when it's like, well, this quarterback struggled. He's had 5 different offensive coordinators and they all have a different style and they all have different chemistry. Same shit.
Yep. Without a doubt.
God almighty. I'm not going to read this because we got a few. Ross Johnson's an ECHL player. Can't be in a lineup. A total waste.
They put Simon Holmstrom in the lineup.
Stephen S. Grumpy.
Well, gents, something impossible happened to me today. Well, if it happened to you, it's not impossible. Something impossible happened today as a filmmaker. I walked out of a film. I was so mad watching it in one of my film classes that I left the room. I've walked out on one film until now. Well, Stephen, I don't want to say the impossible because now this makes 2 films that you've walked out on, and you're sounding a little bit like a diva. I'm just going to say, I don't know why you got to have that diva with you, Grumpy. Well, I'm just saying that if you walk out of a film, you won't learn anything from it. Except, if it was a film of yours or a film of someone else's, I don't know.
I'll let you read this one, Grumpy.
Grump, do you think Bailey lingers around the locker room and waits for his teammates to leave so he can sniff their jock straps like a rat nibbling on cheese in the corner? I think he did that. No, you don't think so?
I think no. Let me share my opinion on this one, Pony B. Curtis. Very
Okay.
creative, but no.
Okay. I thought maybe that's why he missed the game yesterday. He wanted.
Stop. Grumpy Goon Goon.
Has there ever been a pro sports team that has lost as many games via cruel, ill-timed, shorthanded goals as the Islanders? I do not know.
I couldn't tell you either. I don't know, Goon Goon, but you might be on to something. Oh God. Pony B. Curtis says, "My name is Grump. I hate numbers and analytics." Also Grumpy. Brings up Brock Nelson's 22% shooting percentage from last year, literally any chance he can.
Okay. Pony Boy Curtis, I don't know if you're on dumbass pills today, but it sure seems like it because analytics has nothing to do with shooting percentage. That's like saying batting average in Major League Baseball is an analytics. It's not. It's a measurable statistic based on shots taken and goals for, hits and at bats, official at bats. No, analytics is the shit that people who listen to some type of
advanced analytics is what you're talking
eclectical music that no one wants to purchase. That's what they feature in.
I like listening to that type of music, Grumpy.
Not me. RBI,
advanced analytics,
home runs. It's like saying home runs are an analytic. They're not.
Oh man.
Shooting percentage is not an analytic. Never has been, never will be. GSA hashtag -2 point. That's an analytic.
That's an advanced analytic, Grumpy.
Shooting percentage is not.
Here, Grumpy.
Stephen S. says, in other news, I saw the fan fight that took place during the Jets Avalanche game. Ugly scene to see. I'm glad the bloodied fan was okay and that Avs fan got kicked out. You hate to see that happen. I didn't see it.
That might be brought up tomorrow. Who knows?
It's very possible.
Can you fix your mic, please?
Just to let you know that there's a report that the New York Yankees have made an offer to Aaron Judge in the neighborhood of 8 years, $300 million, and the Yankees could increase it. Well, if you could increase it, why don't you just give it to him now?
This is old news. Grumpy, please fix your mic because it is rolling around on your shirt.
Oh,
Frank says, "What's up? What's up, Frank? How are you?" Matthew S. says, "We need to beat Nashville. I'm tired of losing to them."
Yeah, me too.
All jokes aside, a similar trait the Jets or the Islanders and the Jets share this year. They're able to shake off a disappointing loss quickly and turn it all around. A reflection of their coaches or mere luck.
For the Islanders, I don't think it's a reflection of the coach. I think the guys have been together so long, they just feel comfortable with one another. And, maybe just the new playing style with Elaine Lambert has helped. The Jets, they lose games they shouldn't freaking lose, and it's because of the coach. And I like Robert Saleh, but I'm just concerned. He just does some dumb shit out there that costs them games. You lose twice to Bill Belichick and that Patriots team that you're just so superior to physically and talent-wise, and you lose both games because of bad coaching mistakes. I'm sorry. No good.
Please, for the love of all that's holy, fix your mic, Grumpy.
The mic is fine. Your picture isn't even up.
I know. Grumpy, I'm taking care of it, all right? Pony Curtis says, TJ, please read the definition of the word monolith and tell us who it reminds you of this team. Monolith, a large, single, upright block of stone, especially one shaped into or serving as a pillar or monument.
Yeah, just watch 2001 Space Odyssey. That's all you need to know about a monolith.
Are you about to say I thought you were about to say it's Angels Lee stacking his ass in front of the net.
I'm not giving him that much credit.
Oh.
Even though I think Aho has improved by leaps and bounds, Lou may have to get a guy to play with Dobson if he wants to keep Pelech and Pulak together. Didn't work with Romanov and isn't working with Aho. Well, because they're very similar players. And to me, Romanov is just he's a wild card out there right now. I mean, if Mayfield was a left shot defenseman, that would be your second pairing. It absolutely would. He should break up Pulak and Pelech. I don't think they've been great this year. Put Dobson with Pelech and put Pulak with Romanov and then go back to Aho and Mayfield. That's what he should do. Mayfield should not be playing top 4 minutes. He shouldn't. I mean, but neither should Mayfield. Not when your other two right shot defensemen are Pulak and Dobson.
And Coach Tommy B says, Islanders versus Devils, Friday, December the 9th. Drive for 5 viewing party at Whiskey Reds in East Meadow. All are welcome to attend. Let's go Islanders. You heard it here. Goon says, why did the invention of the fork, spoon, and knife not render the chopsticks obsolete?
Because that's in communist China. They don't have forks over there.
I like chopsticks when it
They
comes
just
to
let
eating.
them, it's a communist country, so no modern invention for the people who live there. Just go and cut yourself a couple of sticks and put them together. That's what you're going to eat with.
Have you seen those videos of everything that's going on? I'm not going to get. We'll talk more about that afterwards.
Yeah,
We're not talking about that.
Well, I'm just saying that regime could be in trouble.
Anyway, D-Cut says Ross Johnston is Doug Glatt 2.0. I love the reference. Wow. I love The Goon. Great movie.
From The Goon and The Goon Part 2.
Mm-hmm. It's great movie. The Goon. Dougie Glatt. Tony Curtis says Islanders are definitely playing to their opponent's abilities. You don't want to see a team that plays down to your opponent. And it's nice, though, to see that we've played up against some of the tougher teams. I think we benefited from a few circumstances early, but have you seen how much a few of the teams that were dominant teams last year have struggled at the start of this season? The Florida Panthers, Grumpy, have struggled. The Calgary Flames have not been off to a great start. There's a lot of things that you're like, okay, it's early yet, right? Things can change, but things I would not have expected going into this year.
Okay. And it's true. They've not been great, but you know what? They're not so far out of the playoff hunt that it's going to really affect them.
Correct.
Right. The Rangers right now are what? 4 points out of a playoff spot. They're only 6 points behind us.
No, they're only 4 points behind us.
I thought they were. Okay, I thought they were.
Rangers, 24 games played, 11, 9, and 4, 26 points on the season. We've got 30. So they're only right with how poor the Rangers have played. They're 4 points behind us. Same games played.
Right.
The Penguins, 4 points behind us with a game in hand. The Hurricanes, 1 point behind us with a game in hand.
Right. And
it's crazy how quick a 4-point lead can go. Oh, we're number 2 in the division to where, oh, we're now 4th in the division.
And think about how many overtime losses those teams have had.
Think about the freaking Washington Capitals. We talked about it earlier. We talked with people who are on that podcast, cover their show, who do a great job covering the Washington Capitals. But they had a very, very tough stretch of their schedule early on. Their schedule starts to get substantially easier upcoming, and they're going to have players that continue to get healthy. The Washington Capitals are only 7 points behind us.
Yeah,
that's a lot of points, but I'm just saying, right? If you go on a losing streak or if we struggle against some of those top-tier teams, that 7-point advantage over the Capitals could easily get more and more narrow, is the point I'm saying.
Yeah, I still think that Carolina is going to jump over us in the standings.
For certain.
I mean, you're looking at Boston. I think Florida will make the playoffs. Toronto, Boston, Tampa Bay, they're all going to make the playoffs. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight for the last couple spots.
Very tight.
I just wish we were like the Devils or Boston now.
We're so far in the lead where we cannot possibly miss.
Well, not that we couldn't possibly miss, but it's like, okay, we're 12 points up on the final playoff spot. That's a good position to be in.
Yeah.
I mean, we're only 4 points above the final playoff spot. It's going to be interesting. I just, like I said, that's why we got to beat these lower level teams because the schedule does get tougher.
Yeah. Well, I think we're actually 6 points, but still, it's very close. Wade Flaherty here says, TJ spitting back in his water bottle like he forgot he pissed in it 5 minutes ago. I guess I had a spit take. Who knows?
I don't know what that even means.
Here you go, Grumpy.
D-Cut says, Isles winning with smoke and mirrors and goaltending. Going to catch up with them. Their advanced analytics are poor. Once again, I don't know what their advanced analytics are, but I will say that they don't look great. It's the goaltending. I mean, and we're playing good third periods. And I just think maybe other teams get up and they kind of take their foot off the gas a little bit. That certainly happened against Colorado. But we'll get hot. We'll play. It's typical Islanders the last couple of years, right? All of a sudden, it's a mass scramble in front of them. We don't score any pretty goals. And all of a sudden, the other team's kind of back on their heels a little bit. And we'll pop in 1, pop in 2. And all of a sudden, we're up. And Sorokin's just been sensational. That's the biggest thing, is he's been so good.
Well, when he's talking about the advanced analytics for people who like that type of stuff, the amount of goals we're projected to give up are one of the highest in the NHL, or like 24th or 25th. So we are expected to give up a lot of goals. The only reason we're not is because we have fantastic netminder and a fantastic goalie play. So, in our goals that we're expected to score is not very high, but we're scoring goals
from our defense.
Yes. Well, no, the expected goals that were like the chances we're creating, the goals we're supposed to score are not as many as we've actually scored this year. That's what they mean by the advanced analytics.
Okay.
I believe.
And here's the thing. Our defense is not going to score 100 goals this year.
You know what we call that? The sustainability of things we've seen. So some people use advanced analytics. We say, do we expect that we're for 25% of all games played this year, we're going to come back and win and a come from behind victory in the third period? Probably not. Serves the same purpose. Matthew S. says, Clutterbuck cannot stay healthy. Sheesh.
It's been like that for the last number of years for him. Guy who plays that type of style of play, really physical, smaller body, get into your mid-30s, you're going to get hurt. That's just the way it is. We signed him back for an additional 2 years.
Curtis says, yeah, TJ, but get some piss jugs like on Trailer Park Boys. Ooh, I love that show. That's the way she goes, boys. The way of the road. Oh, man. Got a comment here from Greg Prado, Grumpy.
Pony Boy, thanks for the kind words. Tell 2-Bit and Soda Pop I wish them best of luck at the next Rumble.
Oh my God. Okay. You know what? Pony Boy's he's on a roll tonight. I'll let you read this one too, Grumpy. The guy's
Josh Bailey pays his wife to make fun of his small peenie and kick him in the balls while she raw dogs the rest of the roster.
Okay.
That's a bold statement. I've never said that about Josh Bailey. I've never said that about Josh Bailey.
I was about to say, Pony Boy's going berserk over here.
I think he's on, maybe he's taking extra pills for his ADHD.
Oh, no. I tell you, Josh Bailey, all joking aside, very nice guy. All these guys on the Islanders, very nice.
Shitty hockey player. There's no crime in that. Better than me, better than TJ, better than anybody else who will listen to this podcast. Roll us all together. He's still better player than we are. Better. But, sorry, he just gets paid a lot more money, so he's going to get that abuse for not performing.
Yep. I'm going to let you read a few comments, Grumpy, and I'll be right back here. Look at this. Ariel C's here too, Grumpy. One of the many members.
Stephen S. says, talking about the Predators, I see, we're a mediocre team, sadly. I don't need to break anything down with them, although they did win their last game, so I'll give them a pass for now. Okay, Stephen, good for you. Ariel C. says, the first right winger position is a huge issue. I really like the idea of putting Barzal on the wing and having Lee, Nelson, and Barzal pick up another center or let Ratu slide in on the second line as a center. I like Holmstrom playing with Barzal. They're not gonna put that line together. Here's the thing: Lee doesn't work in that spot. He just doesn't. Alex Hinchy says, guys, I got to tell you, the new Fisherman jerseys are gorgeous in person. All right, Alex, I hope you got one. Gungun says, is the Wildcat formation dead or is it merely in hibernation? It's dead for now. Could be resuscitated at some point in time. Tommy Baffy says Ratu is not ready. Ariel C also says we might see him in the lineup on Friday. He's not in Bridgeport roster tonight. Well, you know what? If we got a bunch of those guys out, why not give him a chance? He was the best of that young forward group in training camp. Frank from Empire State says, grumpy old man, we had a difficult part of our schedule and killed it. No.
Grumpy, I have to interrupt. When I'm not here, you do some of the shittiest comment reads I've ever seen. I heard you in the bathroom going, up and up and up and up. I'm like, what is this? Up and up and up and up and up.
It doesn't matter. If something is exciting enough for me to read better, I will.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
I like to just read the comment and then comment on it. Here's the thing. I was able to do more comments than you did in 30 minutes after the ad read in the 2 minutes you went to the bathroom.
Did you read about Jordan Love, Grumpy?
No, we'll jump on Jordan Love here. Moving on from that, how about Jordan Love's performance against Philly? He was near perfection out there. I was really impressed and excited to see what he can do in the future. Very happy for him. well, what's his third year in the league? Third year in the league. We're going to find out, right?
Yeah.
Rodgers only has another year left after this one. That crybaby bitch. Okay.
Puerto says, have you ever watched Marshawn Lynch post game interviews back in the day? That shit was hilarious. I always loved Marshawn Lynch. I liked him as an individual. He was a guy who was just like, and he's beloved by the players. I just think he didn't like the media. The media at all. I've seen the videos of him now where they have him on, like, because he's working, I think, with a program, and he lets on live TV an F-bomb drop or something like that. He goes, oh, and then he goes, oh, shit.
And then he does it right after that. Here's the thing.
I like Marshawn Lynch.
He's a dumbass.
He says, what do you mean he's a dumbass?
He's a dumbass. He's always you
didn't like the Skittles? Oh, I love
that.
that.
It's like he's always smoking a blunt. That's what he seems like to me.
Who cares? Goon Grumpy.
Mike White's performance on Sunday reminded me a bit of Chad Pennington. Am I onto something here, or am I barking up the wrong goalpost? I think Mike White he's not as good as Chad Pennington. And people forget how good Pennington was before the multiple shoulder injuries. He's done a good job with the Jets. Their defense is really good. The Jets should.
Oh. Okay. I think Grumpy may have gotten disconnected. Who knows? Ariel C. Hey, Grumpy, you're back. But
I never went anywhere.
Okay, your connection looks a little fuzzy now. Maybe it was me. Who knows?
It was.
Ariel C. says here, we are the Rangers. Oh, we're the Rangers from last year thus far. Stellar goaltending, third period comebacks, horrible underlying numbers. The only difference is our power play isn't clicking at 33%.
How'd that work out for the Rangers?
They got lucky and fortunate to run across two miserable goalies in the postseason. Otherwise, they very easily could have made it out. They would have lost. They could have lost in the first round.
They sound like us the two previous years. I think the Rangers were just trying to carbon copy the Islanders, get knocked out in the Eastern Conference Finals. Did they win division last year, the Rangers?
I can't even remember. It was close between them and I can pull it up here. It's close between them and the Hurricanes. I can't remember. Hurricanes wound up winning by 6 points at the end. I remember.
So they won nothing. So they won nothing last year. Nothing.
Yes, correct.
All right.
Let's pull this here. Grumpy, please fix that freaking microphone.
Dude, you're just a pain in the ass. There's nothing wrong with the microphone.
I want you to reposition the microphone. Put it on the collar of your shirt, Grumpy.
I don't have a collar on my shirt, right?
Oh my God! Every shirt's got a freaking collar.
Freaking moron.
Big time 28 says, will Lou make a move at the deadline? That's what scares me. Probably.
I hope not. Unless it's getting rid of some of the guys on the roster, I hope not.
We're not going to do that. What I feel,
and I hope he makes no moves. That's why he's got to leave the job. 80 years old. If you can't read the tea leaves at your age, it's time to move on. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, Lou Lamoriello.
Bye.
Goodbye, Lou.
Out the door with you.
I'm afraid big time. Yes, he will make moves. And the worst thing, look at the moves we've made in the past.
Terrible.
And here's the thing.
Terrible. Everyone's been bad. Everyone has been bad.
I was about to say, there has not been a trade deadline move where I said, oh, we didn't overpay for him. A lot of most times, if you're making a trade at the deadline, you overpay. Some teams do a great job and they're able to identify a real producer for not very much. Kyle Palmieri, pretty much a first round pick. You're looking at Jean-Gabriel Pageau, a first and a second round pick. Andy Green.
We gave up for Travis Zajac, who's already out of the league.
Well, that's what Travis Zajac, I assume, was the fourth round pick. So
we also gave up two players. One of them who's producing for the Devils. So it's not just a first-round pick. We gave up a first, a fourth, and two players, one who's a starter on a team that's second best in the league. So let's not undervalue what we gave up.
AJ Greer, I think, was included in that trade, was he not?
Yes.
AJ Greer, yep, he was traded there, and hey, for the Boston Bruins, right? And he's been a few different places. Boston Bruins this year plays a bottom six role, 17 games, 3 goals, 4 assists. He's just a depth piece guy.
Yeah.
But yes, we did trade AJ Greer as well, I believe, in that.
But here's
trade.
the thing. You could have kept AJ Greer, saved some money, and dumped some of the flotsam at the bottom of our roster that we just continually re-sign all those guys in their 30s and 40s.
Yep.
You know who's been? Go ahead. Just go ahead.
Matthew S says, all of a sudden we have a few forward lineup issues. Yep.
Is it real? Are they really that much of an issue?
Mm-mm.
Palmieri, Bailey, and Clutterbuck, whoop-de-damn-do.
Got a comment here. Gungun says, blokes, how important is the first impression of somebody? I think very important.
I think very important also.
Absolutely. And Ratu not playing in Bridgeport tonight. Is it going to be a call up? I think so. Matthew S says Hasek was ridiculous.
Yes,
I
he
argue,
was.
when you talk about the best goalies in the history of the game, and again, it's tough to compare when you compare the stand-up against the hybrid, against the butterfly. Where do you put Hasek all time? Top 5, obviously, but where in the top 5? Is he top 3? Top 2? Best? I mean, he was just unbelievable.
I want to say top 2. Patrick Roy was great.
Brodeur? Do you put Brodeur top?
Yeah, Brodeur. I think Brodeur and Hasek, number 1. Glenn Hall was great back in the day. I mean, Terry Sawchuk, great goalies. But I just think the butterfly style has really kind of changed how goalies play the game. And I mean, to me, Hasek, he was tremendous.
So, Ariel C., thank you for breaking this down. From December the 9th until December the 27th is a big test for the club. That is going to be right around Christmas time. So either you're going to be happy, an extra little Christmas gift or an extra little cherry on top of the Christmas gift, or we're going to be in a spot where we're going to be very upset around Christmas time regarding the Islanders' production.
Well, let's look at those games and let's
pop them up in tandem with this.
Let's play how we're going to do in those.
And I'm sure we're going to do that again, but when we get closer. But yes, we'll put this up here real quick. So from December the 9th, Grumpy.
That's okay. The Devils, that's a loss. Devils a loss. Hurricanes loss. Bruins loss. Coyotes win. So let's see, we're 1-3. Golden Knights loss. Avalanche loss. Rangers win. Panthers loss. Penguins, is that a home game for us? I'm going to still count.
Yes, home game for us.
I'm still counting as a loss.
Okay. Let's put it like this here.
That's a lot of losses, I think.
Yeah, I don't think we'll do that bad. We're going to win some games. Now, I don't think we're beating the Rangers. We've beaten the Rangers both times this year.
I think we'll beat the Rangers. I think we'll beat the Rangers. But other teams, we can't skate with them. That's the issue. Boston, Devils, can't skate with them. Colorado learned their lesson. I
don't think Colorado is going to be sleeping against us saying, oh, yeah, we've got a 2-goal lead in the third period. I don't think Colorado is going to take the same liberty. They're not going to forget that shit.
And Golden Knights are real good, too.
And that's an away game in Colorado. So,
we've had all our home games against good teams.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see, right? When we talk about that, we talk about, look at this item. We've got the Devils on the road, but it's not really a far road game. We've got the Hurricanes at home, the Bruins on the road, the Arizona Coyotes on the road, the Vegas Golden Knights on the road, the Avalanche on the road, the Rangers technically on the road, but pretty much, well, might as well just call it at home. The Panthers at home, the Penguins at home.
Yeah.
So, big games coming up in that time period. From December 9th to December 27th. Thank you for breaking that down there, Ariel.
That's 9 games. Is that 9 games?
Yeah.
I could see us going 2-7.
8 games. I'm sorry. It's 8 games.
Okay. 2-6. I could see that. They're good. Those teams are good. And their goaltenders are okay too. I just think people forget how the teams that really skate make us look silly out there. That's the Devils, the Bruins.
It's 9 games. I'm sorry. You're right, Grumpy. So 2-7.
Yeah, I'll go 2-7.
Are the Islanders most likely to trade for Patrick Kane, Austin Matthews, or get Pasternak in free agency?
Nada, nothing, and none. No chance.
Oh man. And Frank says, listen, guys, I can't take grumpy old man's favorite call up, Holmstrom, playing on the big team. He sucks. WTF. Lou is dreaming that he'll magically turn into a good player.
I told you that after I saw him live.
Simon Holmstrom, brand new call up, is playing on the second fucking power play. Can we talk about that for a second? What has he done to? We talk about certain guys, right? They had to prove they could play. Oliver Wahlstrom had to prove he deserves to get power play time. Simon Holmstrom, freaking fourth game in the NHL, second power play unit.
He's Lou's only draft pick on the big roster.
Second power play unit. Are you kidding me?
He sucks. He's all right. When
he's the bottom six. He's bottom
six on draft night. I called him Josh Bailey 2.0. I'm still sticking with that. He's Josh Bailey 2.0. That's what he is. There's nothing extraordinary, nothing special about him. He doesn't go into the corners. He'll probably play 1,000 games in an Islander uniform, but he'll never be anything. He's just not very good. He's just not very good. The first game, I thought he acquitted himself well going into the corners, but then you're seeing after that, you're seeing what I saw live 2 games.
Yep.
He's just a guy. There's nothing special about him.
Gungun says here, too many brain farts around the Islanders defensemen have led to too many goals, or led to goals that gives Ilya Sorokin no chance.
Well, that's what happens when you're no longer playing a structured defense. The majority of the time, you're too busy coming back, trying to scramble because your defensemen are caught up ice.
Joseph C. there. He says Lundqvist's goals saved above expected was 53 in 2009, 2010. That was the highest mark since they began tallying that number.
Pretty good.
So, yep. Coach Tommy B says without Sorokin, the Islanders are a 500 team. Yeah.
That's why I wanted
to less.
I saw Lundqvist numbers. I'm wondering what Hasek's numbers were going to be back in the day because he was incredible. He was incredible back then. And, when he played. Early 2000s, whatever the hell it was.
Ponyberg Curtis says, fuck, marry, kill. Love, yeah. Love, make relations to and kill. Komarov, Marchand, and Joe Quenneville. Oof.
None, and none. Oh, who would I kill? Marchand.
Over Leo. Well, Leo, I guess, gets sent to Siberia. So
why would why would I want to kill Leo Komarov?
That's true.
I mean,
he was put in the situation to be more Barry Trotz. Oh, yeah. Let's make an adjustment. Barry Trotz, Marchand, and the Philadelphia Flyers organization.
I'm only doing the kill portion of these exercises because, well, that's just not the way I roll.
Yeah, you've got 3 people. You can kill one. Flyers organization, Barry Trotz or Brad Marchand. Okay, I can't say the Flyers are Bobby Clark, Brad Marchand, and even this is unfair. Or Barry Trotz.
It's not Trotz.
You're going to say Bobby Clark. I know. It's too easy. Come on.
Yeah, I know, but he's been gone so long.
Has your hatred start to fade and wane for him? You don't have enough hatred in your heart anymore for Bobby Clark, Grumpy?
No, the game is just played different. Marchand would have fit in perfectly with those filthy Philadelphia Flyer teams, though. And he would have done a whole lot worse, honestly, with all those goons protecting him. So he might even be worse than Clark.
So Marchand or Clark, which one you going to, Grumpy?
Can I do a daily double on the both of them?
You try to line them up head by head and see if
it
goes
like both. In Deadpool. In Deadpool, the first one, he only had one bullet. He had to wait till the guys got lined up and he popped one in the head, went right through and killed the other guy too. I like that.
Ponyboy Curtis says, which is harder, the point on Holmstrom's chin or TJ's reading of YouTube comments?
Ooh, man, Ponyboy Curtis slamming people today.
That's a tough one, Grumpy. I'm not sure. And D-Cut says, I hope the lovely page balances the checkbooks, TJ. We don't use checkbooks around here. What are you living in the 90s, D-Cut? Joseph C says, Sorokin is going to win the Vezina this year, barring injury. I'd put money on that. I feel confident with that one too. Absolutely. Nick D says, TJ Grumpy, how are you guys doing tonight? Doing well. Hopefully you are too, Nick. Off topic here. ESPN Plus sucks shit. Kevin Weeks is the only thing worth caring about that shitty channel. Do you guys think that Salo and Ratu will be called up?
Okay, I'm going to tell you something about Kevin Weeks, and I like Kevin Weeks.
I do too.
when he's doing the games, and he's enthusiastic, but he reminds me of Pepper Brooks from Dodgeball. He just kind of repeats what the other guy says with like a word or two changed. And it's funny because for
I
me
think
to
it
even
depends. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
for me to even notice, he did it so many times that I'm like, holy shit, it's Pepper Brooks.
I think it depends on who his partner is. He doesn't do that when he's relied upon as the guy. But when other people like ESPN Plus, like when you look at who he has, I think it depends on who his co-host is.
It's like, oh, the New York Islanders didn't show up for that period. And then Kevin Weeks would say, oh, yes. And their disappearance is noticeable. It's just like shit like that. It's like, okay, just repeating it. It's whatever.
Matthew S. says, very scary. Second time it's happened. Happened in 2014, the first time. Yep.
Yeah.
And D-Cut saying, yep, scary shit with Letang. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Regarding Erickson, his wife was there. It was scary.
Oh, it was. I watched it live. I was like, holy shit.
I did too. I was like, oh my God. Matthew S. says, by the way, congratulations to the United States advancing to the knockout round, beating Iran.
Well, they're going to lose Saturday.
Yeah, I don't anticipate that they're going to go ahead and win.
No,
I mean,
they're not very good.
Holland's pretty good. But here's the thing. Even Holland's not a really great team. I think they're better than the U.S. I mean, like that side of the bracket's kind of weak. Argentina, don't think much of, so yeah. And you've got freaking Australia all in that little area of the knockouts. Punta Curtis says, I don't think Palmieri or Bailey are really injured. Lane Lambert doesn't want to play either of them because they're both hacks, especially Palmieri.
Yeah, they for $5 million, you get about 45 cents worth out of production out of those two guys.
D-Cut says, who would read the ad cleaner, TJ or Sorokin?
TJ.
Sorokin's a close second, though. He's got great English.
He is coming up on the turn, for certain. Down the stretch they come.
Oh, man. Frank saying Bailey is bad. There it is. And Gungun says, if you were to tell me going into the season that the Islanders and the Rangers would do the old flippity flop in the standings, I would have thought your jockstrap was too tight.
See, I didn't think that highly of the Rangers last year. I did expect them to make the playoffs this year.
Sturkin. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it, right?
Yeah. I'd say that's it, Grumpy. Just Shesterkin had played really well.
Yeah. I mean,
they had offensive production out the wazoo, right? I don't want to, because they had, the power play was fantastic. I mean, you had guys scoring 50 goals that never had done that before and, having career years. Offensively, they were fantastic. Adam Fox had a great year. Shesterkin, unbelievable. But there were a lot of holes in that team, just like I believe the Islanders have a lot of holes on our team, too.
Yeah. I think the Rangers were more offensively talented, which is why they had 116 points, whatever they had last year. And I just don't think our offense is good enough.
No. You look at it, I think we're better defensively than the Rangers were last year, but I don't think we're anywhere close to as good offensively as they are. That's for certain.
True.
Joseph C. said, it's a counting stat, and Sorokin is ahead of that pace from Shesterkin last year. He's been out of this world.
He has.
So he's ahead of pace then. Okay. Gotcha. And I like the grumpy old man's defensive pairings. Looky there.
The best ones.
Brian P. said, we are a C+ team with A+ goaltending. Absolutely.
That's a very fair assessment.
I like how he broke it down in grades. Everybody understands that.
Yeah, very good. See, generic. Just break it down for the majority of the people. We don't need any type of analytics. Where would this team be if Barzal got hurt? He's been, like I said, he's been so quietly good this year.
Well, here's the thing. Quietly good is maybe how you describe it. Because I've been going out of my way to listen, because it's been really tough to listen to Butch. When I made that comment 2 weeks ago, I was not kidding around. I just can't listen to him anymore. It ruins my viewpoint of what Butch is and who he is, just because of how much of a homer he had been lately. So I stopped listening to Butch. I started listening to every opposing team's telecast. Every time they talk about the Islanders, they cannot stop raving about how talented of a player Matt Barzal is and how special of an individual he is as a skater. We seem to be the only people who just seem to devalue, or certain fans of our fan base seem to devalue him, and nobody else across the league does that.
Well, even our broadcast crew, I mean, you're right. Every other teams they gush every time he touches the puck. Man, this kid is marvelous. I mean, and he is, and this year he's just been tremendous. I thought last year he struggled a little bit, like the rest of the team. It's so obvious he hated Trotz, but he's just been phenomenal. Think about how many times he set guys up this year where if we were more talented, we'd have more goals. He's just been tremendous. Just tremendous.
Do you remember those people who were trying to say, oh, no, Matt Barzal, look at his comments. He didn't have an issue with Barry Trotz. Yeah, he did. All it took for you to do was read between the freaking lines, guys.
Hated him.
Yep. When they said they needed change, or some people voiced that they wanted a different direction, look no further than Matt Barzal, ladies and gentlemen. And the points in the production we've seen from him validates that.
Yep.
Curtis says, boys, we need a call-in show. Maybe we'll do some on a Friday or Saturday. I'm sorry. Shay says, hi, everyone. Haven't listened to the podcast in so long. I was overseas for a couple weeks, and I came back on Thursday. Welcome back, Shay.
Thank you, Shay.
Back.
Yes.
And somebody was telling me how bad Sorokin was last night. Boy, did they hear it from me. I thought he played really well.
Night.
Yeah.
So he's not superhuman where he stops everything. It's like, oh, he's had a bad game. Are you watching the other teams? Like I said,
all these other teams' goalies are awful. And she went to Romania.
Ooh.
That sounds like a cool place to visit. And he missed us too. We missed you too, Shay.
It seems like it's cold and rainy there.
Most of Europe is,
even in the summer.
Joseph C. says here, our defense sucked. If it wasn't for Fox, Lindgren, and Shesterkin, we'd have been near the bottom of the division. Trouba isn't a dumpster fire.
See, I think Trouba's better than a lot of people think.
Why is that?
I just do. I'm not saying he's the greatest defenseman, but I think he gets a lot of hate because of how much money he makes. Their defense is not good. It's still not good.
Pony Curtis says here, boys, if you're going to do a power ranking of all 32 teams, where do the Islanders lie?
I think they're top 10.
I was about to. I'm a little bit more harsh. I know the record is good. I was going to say 12th.
I can only go by what I see right now.
Okay.
Now, at the end of the year, do I think we're going to be top 10? No. But that's where we are now. I don't think you can say they're not.
Okay. Fair enough. I guess I'm trying to look at it more through where I think they finish or where I think things lie as compared to what we've seen on the ice so far this year. Good point.
I mean, we can play that game if you want. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I still think Boston, the Devils, Vegas, Toronto, Dallas, Carolina, Tampa, Colorado, Florida, I think they're all better than us. And that's just offhand, just thinking it.
We did get a comment here. Sorry, go ahead.
And I don't know how many that was, but those are teams I don't put ahead of them.
Tommy B says, we lost yesterday because Josh Bailey was not in, of course, Grumpy.
Very possible. Very possible.
Thomas Amadeo says, do you guys think that Timo Meier is a possibility to trade for? Do you want to know how much it would cost to get Timo Meier? And like what we said before about how miserable Lou Lamoriello is at the trade deadline regarding winning trades, we gave up a first and a second round pick for third liner Jean-Gabriel Pageau. Could you imagine how many first round picks we'd have to give up for Timo Meier?
A true first line winger?
Yes. I mean, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, the freaking half the ownership rights of the franchise. We would get freaking drug over the coals making a trade for him with Lou Lamoriello at the helm. There's no way you can convince me otherwise. I'm not sure there's any trade deadline deal we've won.
No, I don't think we have won any of them.
Shay says here, guys, do you think that Lou is paying for Salo's gas and tolls with all the commutes to Bridgeport that he's been doing recently?
I think it is a corporate write-off, yes.
Oh, goodness gracious. Chris says, everyone on Twitter is having a meltdown because Johnston was in over soft serve Bailey, the cuck. Oh, God. Will Bailey want to have that?
Bailey sucks. What would Bailey realistically have done in yesterday's game? Nothing. Like he does every game. Absolutely nothing.
Mm.
I mean, he had one game this year when he had 2 goals and assist, right? One game. He's got 7 points on the year. 20-some games in. 7 freaking points.
Mm.
I mean, I mean, is that what you're looking for? Is that what you're looking for? Not me. Rangers won tonight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, I guess I could refresh the standings. Maybe that was why.
Yeah, maybe that's
the
why
game
they're
had
4
finished,
points
and
out.
that's why they were only 4 points out. I don't.
Yeah, there you go.
Again, so maybe they'd already refreshed.
Ottawa. We beat Ottawa.
The tough Ottawa. Yeah, that's why they're only 4 points out. They just had beaten Ottawa. The tough Ottawa Senators, Grumpy. Got a comment here. Shay was there. She was bringing smiles to Ukrainian orphans, refugees, kids/teens who had to leave their homes because of everything that was going on.
Good for you, Shay. Good for you.
Good for you is right. Good for you,
Now,
Shay.
see, there's someone who does something because it's the right thing as opposed to looking for some type of monetary gain. Good for
Shay,
you.
were they taking pictures of you every single day, posting them on the social media pages, going, "Look at Shay. She's doing Shay just doing things quietly."
No. Those are the people that's a special person right there. Good for you, Shay.
Good for you, Shay. Yep. Tony Cheese, the pro creator, said, "I would avoid using words like niggling." Yes, it's a real word, but damn, that's close. You don't watch enough soccer if you don't think of the word niggling injury is something they use all the time overseas.
Like
Just
Christian
nagging
Pulisic.
same thing.
What they were saying about Chris, oh my God, giving his body for his country. I'm like, oh, please stop.
I don't. So, by the way, and go ahead. I'm sorry.
Stop being so hyperbolic over the United States.
Some people may be affected. There's a whole bunch of these channels or local Fox and sports channels local channels that have been affected due to, it's like with AT&T Uverse and DirecTV that have been affected because they will not sell the rights, or they want more money to sell the rights.
No, what happens is Fox wants more money than they're willing to pay. That's why. So they're like, well, we're not going to give you our check.
Well, it's conglomerates. So certain sects own, like, hey, this group owns 32 different local Fox channels and the NBC and all these channels is what happens. It's
local broadcasting systems have to pony up certain dollar amount to get those channels. And the whole thing for me is this is billionaires fighting billionaires over pennies from subscribers. And it's like they don't care about the people. No, none of them do. None of these companies do. No one does. No countries care about their people. No companies care about people. No one cares about anyone except for Shay. She cares.
I was about to say Shay far better than us. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
But I tell you, Grumpy. So I've been watching all of the soccer matches in Spanish. And I actually enjoy it, so I don't have to listen to the ridiculous English, the ridiculous American announcers because
they are ridiculous.
But I still like better not being able to hear a word they say because all it would do is piss me off.
I still like to listen to the American commentary, but it does piss me off because they're just like they got the announcers are just so bad. I guess they listen to their. I don't even know who sends in tweets, but was it Judy Foudy? Someone was doing, and they can't get the freaking names right, which is
of the soccer
astronomically stunning to me. And this is something we'll talk about, I'm sure, tomorrow. But there's a guy who plays Real Madrid. His name is Militao.
Yes, Eder Militao.
Right, and a really good player, like one of the top guys in the world.
Center backs in the world.
She calls him Melito, and I'm like, who the hell is Melito? And I'm looking up I'm like, there is no Melito. And then Son X texts me, he says, who's Melito? I'm like, yeah, same thing. Melito. You got to know their names.
Yeah, it'd be like us.
And then the girl said her hair, which looked hideous, by the way. She's like, somebody commented on how ugly her hair looked. You think it's a TJ and the Grumpy Old Man podcast? And like, yes, I've been getting a lot of comments on how bad my hair looked. And then one of the guys who were there, oh no, your hair isn't bad. I mean, I think they looked up in the sky, thought they were going to get struck by lightning. Because her hair looked like dog shit. Honestly, I'm thinking you are on national television and that's what your hair looks like. I don't know what style it is, but it's like I said, my hair looks better than hers. It was like just all stringy on the back. What the hell is do you have any pictures of her?
No. Okay. We're not getting off topic. We've got comments to go through. We've got too many comments.
All right. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yes, especially don't get distracted. Don't get distracted.
I can't help it. You brought it up.
By the way, Rose Bowl signed an agreement that will allow the college football playoff to expand to a 12 teams in
Oh,
2024 in 2025. So
well,
here we
there
go.
you go.
Very soon, we're gonna have the 12-team playoff system. Oh, looky there. Crazy. The money's all what it's about.
What's the final four of the bowl championship series now? Who are the final four teams now?
It's not done yet, Grumpy.
Okay, but what are the top four right now?
What are the
top four? What are the top four?
Zip it. Zip
Yeah.
it, Grumpy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Get to
Try it
reading
again.
freaking more comments, Grumpy. Get to work.
All
Get
right,
to work, Grumpy. Got a comment by Goon Goon. Read it up.
USC's in the top four. Thank you.
You read it up, Goon Goon.
Goon Goon says, in the classic film Willy Wonka, how do you think the bed smelled that Grandpa Joe and three other old codgers continually resided in? Did they even get up to use a toilet? No. They did not, because they could not get up. If you remember, Grandpa Joe, he tried to stand up and he was wobbling his shit all over the place. They couldn't even get him up. Here's the thing. If you lay down, if you don't use anything, like when I had my shoulder surgery, I had my shoulder in a sling for 3 weeks. Your muscle tone is gone after that. And I was talking with the guy who did PT with me. He's like, yeah, you ever watch these movies, how these people are in comas for, a year and they just get up and walk out. No, you can't even stand up because your muscles, you don't use them at all. They have to be used. That's why TJ should do more reading. Use his brain more.
Because my brain's not being used enough without it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you want to know like the sweat from like
bed bugs.
I
don't think they changed the sheets. I don't know what they did. They just kind of rolled them on the floor. I don't know.
Because it's such a big bed. They moved to the left-hand side. They took the sheet off. Then they all rolled to the right-hand side. Maybe they could still roll.
All I know is, the mom who looked like she'd been busting her ass forever. And the dad, he's like, nope, I'm not taking either one of you. I'm going to take this guy who's been laying in a bed forever. I'm like, shit. How'd that make you feel? I don't know.
Pretty shitty. Oh man, I tell you. Wallstrom, Ariel C says here, Wallstrom has played much better, but still takes stupid penalties. That will stop as he matures. Remember, Barzal used to cry about every missed call.
And he doesn't do that anymore. And I told you, I remember TJ. Now I'm going to go back in the Wayback Machine. Do you remember when he first started diving? And what was the first thing I said? He was getting those penalties. I'm like, he's going to have to stop that shit because they're going to stop calling it. They've stopped calling those penalties on him.
Hold on. Re-say that again. You're saying that from
they've stopped, like when he gets hooked, and he's hooked all the time and interfered with. I said at the time, because he was flopping a lot and drawing the penalties. Now I said, if he continues to do that, he's not going to get those penalty calls. We saw that happen. He was not getting those calls when these people were committing those infractions on him. And even now you're seeing he's not getting as much, but he's matured. So you're not seeing him lose his cool like he used to. I also think that's helped his game this year as well. I think he views himself as the leader of the team.
He is a leader of the team, in my opinion. Strip the C from Captain America over there, Captain
Average,
and put that bad boy on Matty B.
Take it off Average, put it on your best player. We don't need Average to be. He has
taken a step forward. He's taken a step forward, I think, and it's good to see.
Without a doubt.
Tommy B says, Phil's facts says no adoption sucks.
That's what Phil's like.
That means when I see Phil next, I'm going to go punch him through the computer screen and say, you don't talk bad about my $10 million man, no adoption. Punch.
Phil, stop eating those mushrooms. I told you that. They make you hallucinate.
Here you go, Grumpy. I'll let you read
what do you think of Francis Coppola's support of disgraced film producer Victor Salva? Okay, I don't know who Victor Salva is. I don't know what he did. So I can't really comment, but I do like Francis Coppola.
Goon Grumpy.
Who were the top Islanders free agent busts, top free agent signings? Top free agents bust has to be Andrew Ladd, and top free agent signing, have there even been any? Maybe Leo Komarov.
I was about to say Zach Parise. How shitty is it? Top free agent signing by the Islanders.
The guy put up 35 points in a year. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, 35 points. Zach Parise.
Whatever.
I can't wait. I can't wait to have Phil on. He said he was calling out anybody who said Zach Parise was finished. Come and answer. Come and stand up for your beliefs because he's not finished.
Phil, Phil's just delusional. What's he on pace for this year?
Like 35 points again.
I mean, it's like, okay, he's a third line guy. What do you
Third line guy.
expect? I mean,
Yeah.
Stop.
Brian P says, get a top line forward, not Erik Karlsson. I agree. I want nothing to do with Erik Karlsson. Yep. Tommy B says, no way I would touch Erik Karlsson. Absolutely. Mr. Janspan says, Burns trade got them a 3rd round pick, Brett Burns.
Yeah, well, that's not a whole lot to pay for a guy who's really good.
Matthew S. said, hard pass on Erik Karlsson. It has to do more with the term that they're signed to in the cap hit and the AAV. Put up Curtis says here, boys, what is the here's the real question. If Matthews hits free agency in 1.5 years, does he make 15 to 16 million AAV?
Ooh. No.
I like these hypotheticals though.
No.
How much you think he's making, Matthews?
13 and a half. That's it.
McDavid makes 13 and a half, right?
McDavid, I think, makes 12 and a half. Well, maybe 13.
Okay. Yeah, whatever it is, it'll be near there. Rich, what's up, Rich R? Hopefully you're doing well, Rich. He said, we played shorthanded every time Holmstrom's on the ice.
Sounds like Bailey.
Ooh. Rich R says, Grump, Mama's or Oakdale Pizza?
Oakdale Pizza. I work there.
I was about to say, why do you think Oakdale Pizzeria, Grumpy? Tell me why.
I worked there, and the pizza was better. Mama's, they just made, they made dinners. Their restaurant was good, but their pizza wasn't that good.
Mr. Janspan said, Bailey in a second for Erik Karlsson.
I do. Tell me you wouldn't do that. Tell me you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that and have them keep half the salary? Shit.
You didn't say keep half the salary on this trade.
You think they're going to move $11 million? How many teams can afford $11 million cap hit?
It's $11.5 million to be exact with the old man.
How many can afford that? No one. They want to move them, they're going to have to eat some of that salary cap number, period. Like I said, their team's in full rebuild. It doesn't matter about salary cap. They're trying to move cap out.
I'll let you read this one here, Grumpy. James F.
Congrats to the USA to the Sweet 16 in the World Cup.
There it is. Mr. Janspan says here, Bavillier's playing half-assed. He knows he's on the block.
If they move him, you know what? I think he needs a change of scenery. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, he's had more than enough chances over a number of years now where, okay, you know what? Maybe it's just not going to work out here.
Pony Curtis says comments. He says the Rangers make the postseason once after missing it for years, and they get play a whole bunch of third string goalies and get all hyped up and overrated when we still get no respect from any of the experts.
Okay, last year when we did that 2 years in a row, 1-0, everyone's predicting us for Stanley Cup Finals. Remember that? Barry
Melrose thought we were the dark horse to win the Stanley Cup last year.
And I'm like, no freaking way. And here's the thing. We're not going to win the Stanley Cup this year either. I hate to tell you. As good as Sorokin's playing, at the end of the day,
it's not sustainable.
The teams with the most talent win. I mean, he'd have to pitch shutout night after night after night.
I thought you were about to mention that article you sent me, Grumpy, about a week and a half ago. They came out with, I don't remember which expert it was, but they came out with teams that they think that are in a playoff spot now that will not make the postseason this year. The Islanders are one of the 4 teams they listed on that list.
And they mentioned a lot of the things in that article that we've been talking about for the last number of weeks.
Yep.
Not sustainable, winning games in third periods, getting dominated in games, having other teams below us that are not that far behind us, not playing well. You know, they're going to improve, and that maybe they won't, but you know, most times they do. Young teams tend to improve as the season goes on, and that's why they think the Islanders won't make the playoffs. A lot of things that we've touched on tonight and other podcasts.
James F said, TJ, can you pull up the video of Sean McVay getting hit in the jaw by his own player? We will tomorrow on TJ and the Grumpy Old Man show. Grumpy, I'm going to let you continue here through these comments. I'm going to use the restroom.
Gosh darn it. Okay. Evel says, Bridgeport Islanders win 4-3 against Providence. DeFore with a beautiful power play goal. Thank you very much, Eve, for that update. Frank from Empire State says, bringing up DeFore and Ratu, no trades. You're not going to see that. Not with the 4. Brian P says, I hate the Philadelphia Eagles more than any sports franchise. I just think I hate the whole city of Philadelphia. Sorry, anyone who's from Philadelphia. That's just the way it is. Rich Rosenkrantz says, yes, yes, yes. I hate that phrase, Rich. I'm sorry. Trade, because that's Daniel Bryan's thing. Trade Holmstrom to the Ladies Professional Golf Association. I don't even think he could make it there. Ponyboy Curtis says, boys, one thing I got to point out, all this about how under Trotz, we would never come back in any of those games with Trotz, iterations of that, etc. True, we didn't come back in, certainly not like we've done here this year. James Farrell says, hey guys, tree lighting tonight at the Rockefeller Center. Always a good thing to watch. Rich R says, because our D couldn't cross mid-ice. Bob, son of Stan, says, agreed. December will be the determiner of the Islanders season. Devils, Hurricanes, Bruins, Knights, Avalanche, Rangers, Panthers, Penguins, with the last 5 starting with Vegas in a row. Yeah, that's a murderer's row for us. It's going to see, can we keep up with us? Remember last year, we couldn't seem to beat the playoff teams with any consistency. I think we only won 9 games against playoff teams, and that's in a nutshell why we weren't good last year. Will we see a repeat of that this year? I don't think so, not to that degree, and I certainly hope not. Ponyboy Curtis says, do you guys remember the 17-game point streak under Trotz, 15-0-1? That was definitely a few comebacks in that streak, big ones. That was not last year. Brandon Gaines says, TJ, do you even know who Jason Voorhees is? He probably does not. Shay says, and also expect to win Friday night with us playing. Oh, she doesn't expect us to win Friday night with us playing Nashville. Ooh, Shay, okay. Ponyboy Curtis says, I remember one game against Philly, and that stretched down 3 in the third, I'm pretty sure, and comeback. Barzal was in the lineup, I think. Yeah, they might have had a game, but certainly not 50% of the games, or more than 50% coming back. I don't know anyone who does that. Frank from Empire State says, love Mayfield, but he shoots too much. And when he shoots, it's like his stick blade is like 3 foot long and 1 foot wide. Yeah, he can really put that puck in the top corner, though, can he? Let's see. Rich R says, TJ, he has not made a hit. He's done shit. I think he's talking about Holmstrom. Brandon Gaines says, Philly fans in general are just brutal. True. Went to a game where Cruz tore his patella tendon and a few chanted some messed up shit. It's brutal in Lincoln Field. Yeah, they're animals in Philadelphia. Brian P says, Holmstrom is just a jag. I don't even think he's a jag. Then Ponyboy Curtis talking about Holmstrom's chin, sweat glands into your veins. Okay, I don't know. Empire State from Frank says, once again, I'll say it again, Barzal, shoot the MRF and puck. Sometimes he tried so hard to dump the puck, he causes turnovers. Occasionally he does. He's been shooting the puck. He's got 44 shots on goal this year, just not been putting them in the net. So, yeah, he needs to shoot more. It's because he has the puck so often. He's trying to help everyone else.
Do you remember, Grumpy? We told this story years ago, before it was known that you and I were related. They mentioned Cole Bardreau. And man, that's a name I hadn't thought of in a while. Cole Bardreau. He used to play by us. Used to play at the same place.
Okay, he's a grinder type here. When he played in Charlotte, he was like, no one could. He was so much better than everybody else. He played, I think he was, I want to say 8 years old, playing in, I think, not squirts, what people, I'm trying to think what the progression is, but he was playing in the checking league, and he was the best player in that league. I think he was 7 or 8 playing with kids who were like 10 and 11. He was, and he was just tremendous. And he's a grinder in the NHL. That's what I mean by all you parents who think your kids are going pro. Probably not going to happen. You know, I'm just saying, the kid who is so superior, I mean, lights out the best player in the league, lights freaking out, is a grinder, an AHL grinder. Just tells you something.
Which are saying Holmstrom better not drop the soap. Oh
Yeah.
no. Tony Curtis says Grumpy Old Man doesn't want to interact or respond to any of my comments because I criticize his boomer music taste. Grumpy did get a little hot on the collar about that earlier.
Here's the thing.
Grumpy, you seem tired. Grumpy, you've been up a lot tonight.
Well, son X was over here with dog Z, and I don't like when he spends. Not that I don't like it, but it's like, I love the dog. We love the little doggy boy, love him to death, but I like him as a grandfather would like a grandchild, where you can give him back. You don't have to worry about him shitting his pants and doing or crying or doing all that stuff, or just and he's just he's hairy. I got to vacuum the rug all the time. Just and we love him, but I'm used to them not being here.
Look at that Ponyberg Curtis said, "I'm sorry, Grumpy. I love you."
I would have read that one. So.
Here you go, Grumpy. You can read it.
No, that's okay. You already read it.
It was such an awkward comment. I could not imagine you reading that one, but I'm glad to know you will read those in the future.
And I want to read the next one. What happened to the pulse of the people, brother? Well, that's it. See, that's what the whole thing is. When you want to take some eclectic musical taste, that's not what the people like. It's not what they like.
Okay, Grumpy. Brian P.
Brandon Gaines, I live in South Jersey and Philly country, and my woman and all our friends are Philly everything. And as Giants fans, and particularly rough because the Eagles own the Giants and the Flyers are bad, so they don't bother me. I hate the Flyers. I hate the Eagles. I hate Philadelphia.
Brian P., you shouldn't let any of your friends know that you're a Giants fan. You might get thrown batteries at when you're walking out of your damn house.
True.
Hit with damn double D batteries right in the face. Bob, son of Stan, Grumpy.
What about Beauvillier totally misplaying the Hayes face-off goal? Beauvillier was breaking out instead of playing his man, Hayes, and the puck.
Shit, I don't know, but Philly keeps getting blamed for that. It was just like, can we not just acknowledge it was a fantastic play by Hayes to notice the puck and redirect it with his skate quickly, to hit the back pass, then to feed it to another freaking Flyer who puts it top shelf? I mean, like, we can acknowledge when it's just a beautiful play by the other team, and I'd say it was a beautiful play by the Flyers there, and a great play by Hayes.
True.
Goodgood says, was Jerry Lewis ever really funny?
People in France thought he was hilarious.
Who the hell is Jerry Lewis?
Oh, fuck. Did you really say who's Jerry Lewis?
Is he a boxer or is he a comedian or something? A musician?
Jerry Lewis. You ever heard Lewis and Martin comedy team?
Oh, Steve Martin? Martin Short? I don't know.
Jeez. Okay, we don't have enough time to go through this, and I know people are going to be burying you. I just know it. We're not even going to get to the comments where you're buried. We don't even make it. Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, they were a comedy team.
Okay.
Dean Martin played the suave ladies' man, and Jerry Lewis played a guy like this, and he was all skinny, and I don't know what to do, Dean. I mean, he also did the Jerry Lewis muscular dystrophy telethon for like 30 or 40 years.
Did he actually have muscular dystrophy?
What?
Did he actually have muscular dystrophy?
No, he did a telethon to raise money for that organization. Okay, cool. He got Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra got Dean and Jerry back together on one of the telecasts back in the 1980s, whatever it was, because they had a falling out. They were like the number one, like biggest stars in Hollywood for whatever, 5, 6, 7 years. They were only together for 10 years, but they were huge. Done a bunch of movies together. Oh my God. Who's Jerry Lewis? See, that's why when I say, let's watch a movie like this, because they're funny and they're and you just say, no, I'm not going to do that. It's too old.
You wound up watching all of your old movies, Grumpy.
And you watched them too, didn't you? You watched them and you said, hey, that was pretty good. Maybe I should
put up with those old movies just like I put up with your old ass, Grumpy.
Yeah, your eyes were like glued to the screen by the end. Ooh, oh my gosh, whoa, no.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, you're pathetic.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Alexander says, "Hey guy, all right, as long as we're not talking about the Dolphins. Hey guys at work right now. Last night was a very bad
Look at
night.
your ass, Grumpy. Somebody pissed in your Cheerios.
No,
Well, you
no,
that upset that you're with the
no, no,
freaking dog? I gotta let Son X know
no.
that dog needs to be executed. Put him out.
Well, here's the thing. It was raining outside, and the dog's got to go to the bathroom. What do you think? He walks around in mud, and Son X doesn't clean his damn paws off. I'm like, clean his damn paws off. I don't want him dragging mud in through my house. Show a little respect.
What did you do? Did you hit Son X? You break out the belt and beat him over the face?
I whipped Dog X, Dog Z.
You beat Dog X instead.
No, I would never hit.
You said this is because your owner is so dumb.
You'll learn. He's wonderful. We love him. We love him to death.
Okay.
Hey guys, at work. No, I just know tomorrow we're going to be hearing from Alexander about the Miami Dolphins. You know it's coming. Hey guys, at work right now. Last night was a very bad night, but make no mistake about it, I still think the team is good and maybe one or two pieces away. As for Romanoff, we got to give him time before we start to jump to conclusions. Okay.
Shay says here the ESPN broadcast was awful yesterday. The announcers had no idea what they were talking about. They noticed things late, guys on the bench, etc., and the camera angles were absolute dog shit.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Oh my goodness gracious!
At least they didn't have Leah Hextall do the game.
Can't wait for the Devils. We'll know who you are. Yep,
Devils are good.
We're gonna know who we are after that. Come Christmas Day, ring ding ding ding. When the bells are ringing, you're gonna know exactly who the New York Islanders are. We're
gonna find out if those retro jerseys underneath the tree are gonna be worth anything.
Brandon Gaines says, I'm watching a little bit of Bar Rescue last night, and I got to tell you guys, if I'm at a bar with all my buddies and John Taffer suddenly walks in, I'm getting the F out of there.
Yeah, I agree. 100% agree.
Who knows what's going on at that bar? That's for
sure. It's not good. Let's just put it that way. Unless it's the grand reopening.
Then John Taffer is going to be there the whole time from open to close. Goon Grumpy.
I said it once, I'll say it again. How many unmarked men situations around the goalie per game? You'd think Lambert would address this stinky situation by now. But here's the thing. It's tough because we're saying defensemen engage in offense. It's tough to play two systems at the same time. Very difficult.
Punenberg Curtis says here, Barzal will be wearing a yarmulke post-game interviews before his contract's up with his Jewish girl. Here's the thing. I assume they won't have a long engagement. They'll be engaged and be married if that's the gal he sticks with.
Well, then his play is probably going to diminish.
Not yet. It won't be until something else happens, Grumpy. It won't be until something else happens. We're keeping our eyes out. That's for certain. Eve L says here, Adam Henrique or Frank Vetrano as a left wing to get on the cheap.
Well, Vetrano just signed a free agent deal somewhere, right? And Henrique, he played for the Devils. How many more of those loser type Devils do you need on the team?
We need more Devils. We need more ex-Devils, Grumpy.
Absolutely not.
Anyway, we can bring Stevens back.
Scott Stevens, I'd take him back. I mean, Adam Henrique, how old is he now? He's kind of finished.
He's got to be ancient. He's got to be like 35, 36, right?
I mean, why do we want to double down on old?
Cheap.
And I don't know how much time he's got. I mean, Vetrano signed somewhere.
He's only 32, Adam Henrique. He's going to be, he's 32.
And who's he playing with now? Ducks?
The Anaheim Ducks.
I mean,
still with the Ducks.
How good is he doing? I mean,
42 points last year in 58 games. This year, he's got 12 points in 22 games.
Sounds like Josh Bailey.
Well, he actually scores goals.
Oh, okay.
He's had last year. He had 19 goals.
What does he make? Do you have how much he makes?
I can pull that for us. Give me a second.
I mean, because how much salary you want to bring in? We're coming to the end of the salary.
I assume he's on an expiring deal, but let me check.
Yeah, I mean, we're coming to the end of all these onerous contracts. Why do you want to continue to add old guys?
He'll have 1 year left after this year, making $5.8 million AAV.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We got enough of those guys on the team. Bring another guy on the wrong side of the 30, way on the wrong side of 30, making almost $6 million a year for Josh Bailey-like production. We already got a piece of shit like that on a roster. Matter of fact, we got a lot of them. Kyle Palmieri.
Mr. Jamsman says Aho and Dobson pairing was a bad even strength choice from the start. Power play pairing only. I believe like a power play pairing. I like that as a power play pairing. Absolutely.
I don't think you need two. I don't think you need two defensemen on a power play. That style's gone.
Frank saying, I believe the Rangers made a mistake trading Frank Vatrano away. He fit them better, I believe.
He fits our team better than he fit the Rangers. He's a blood and guts type player. I like him.
Oh, I must have been invisible. Tommy B saying when I was in the blacked out screen, I was looking mighty good then. I like it. I like it there, Tommy B.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
There's no way we're going to get to all the comments.
Yeah, I'm just trying to skip through here to get to a few.
Are there any in there about Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin?
God almighty.
Because I can scroll through there, but it's like, oh, actually, I went too far up.
Time B says advanced analytics are for computer geeks.
There you go. Very true.
D-Cut says, I feel you guys undersell Mayfield. He's been terrific this season. Plays on the first penalty killing unit and is always in on the last minute of the game with a lead. Sign the man, Lou. Here's the thing I will say. He is going to get a fucking huge contract at the end of this year. It would if I'm his agent, I'm telling him absolutely we are not signing early. This is your chance to cash in. You're making $1.4 million a year living in freaking New York. We need to go ahead and get you a real damn contract this year because he's going to have a career high in points this year, a career high in goals, and he's a top 4 defenseman on every team in the NHL for the most part. He should be making himself around maybe a 5-year deal, $5 million per at least.
I don't think we've been underselling Mayfield at all.
We like Mayfield. I just don't think we can afford to re-sign him. He's going to be that expensive.
And I've always been a Mayfield honk. Always.
Before he even made the NHL roster.
He signed a sweetheart deal for the 5 years to stay with the Islanders. I don't blame him for going out and making money. I'd love him to stay, but how much you think he's going to – I mean, he's a bottom pairing defenseman. That's what he is. But on this team, he's a bottom pairing defenseman. You're going to pay $5 million a year, $6 million a year to a bottom pairing defenseman. He's going to get paid. He's absolutely going to get paid. Tell me a team like Toronto wouldn't sign him in a second.
Big physical defenseman who put up points, who plays in the crunch minutes. She's a guy who is still young enough to still have quite a few years left at a high level.
He's going to be 30, or he is 30 now.
I think he's going to get probably a 5-year deal at least.
So do I.
5 years by 5.
At some point in time, you have to say, okay, we can't re-sign everybody.
We can't re-sign like our third liners. How many third line guys do we have on freaking $5 million a year contracts?
Or fourth line guys. We don't need to re-sign those guys. That's where you backfill with youth. Let them develop. Let them learn how to play the game in limited minutes. You can't sign everybody who's over the 30s years old and bottom 6 roles and sign them to long-term deals. It's asinine.
You're going to have to make sure you've got enough cap available to sign Sorokin to a long-term contract.
He makes more money.
That's priority number 1.
He makes more money every month. He makes more money. You should re-sign him now. He should re-sign him now. Give him $7.5 million. See if he'll take it.
A lot more than that.
Well, you know what though? He's under contract for next year too. See if you can sign him now. Don't wait 2 years. Don't wait another year till he hits unrestricted free agency.
Do you remember when I told you he's going to make $8 million plus?
I do remember that.
Win him a little Vezina this year and wait to see what that freaking contract is going to pay. It's crazy. It's crazy that we're so close on all these numbers when we start talking about that. Isn't it just a freaking – it's crazy, Grumpy.
You have to be proactive signing guys. That's the way the league is now.
You know what else is going to happen?
Uh-oh.
When that contract expires for Noah, the man Dobson, he's going to be earning himself a $10 million a year contract when that contract expires. You just watch, wait and see. $10 million a year and not signing him long-term and paying a little bit more on the front end, people are going to say, oh, shucks. People said, oh, isn't it great if we have to pay Noah Dobson $10 million a year? It means he's paying out. Anybody with a freaking brain could tell that kid was going to pay it out. And all we did was just say, we want to pay more on the back end for a guy like this. Just
It means he'd have to be an 80-point-a-year scorer to get that.
what? No.
He's going to have to score and be almost a point a game guy to get $10 million. He's not worth $10 million.
You're nuts. You won't have to be a point a game guy. Look how many guys make more. Look how many guys make around that now. Darnell Nurse is not a point a game guy.
Okay. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Seth Jones. Yeah, they make way too much money.
Larry McAllister said, are people overreacting to this loss? I think so.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Not at all.
Are people overreacting? Yeah, I think they are overreacting to the loss. I just wish it wasn't the Flyers. I hate the Flyers. I just wish it wasn't them.
Yeah. This team is gelling, and it seems good, also says Larry. Okay.
Yeah, okay, we had a bad game against Flyers. We haven't. The difference yesterday was the Flyers had a goaltender who played really well yesterday. Otherwise, we beat them.
Here we go. Shay has a story about the time she met Josh Bailey.
I was waiting for players to come out after a game. Bailey signed my puck. I say, the Sharpie is not working. He says, and he goes, oh, I signed the other side. His side on the logo. And
he signed on the logo. God damn, Grumpy. You're right. He signed on the logo and they can't see it. Bailey, when he had the puck, must have flipped the puck over and signed on the freaking logo. Bailey, that's signature 101. You don't sign on the logo. You sign on the back part.
Maybe no one asked him to sign logos. Maybe nobody asked him to sign anything. I bet you if you go on eBay, see how much a Josh Bailey signed anything is probably like free.
Hold on a second. We can pull that up, Grumpy. How much do you think that is?
How much did Josh Bailey sign 8x10? $15.
Better say signed puck.
All right, signed puck.
Wow. Hold on a second. Whoa, Grumpy. This is his NHL debut puck.
Okay. That's a little bit different. That's a specialty item. How much is a specialty puck? $50?
No, a lot more expensive than that, but it hasn't sold yet. That's the interesting thing we got to talk about. Josh Bailey, NHL debut.
It's a buy it now, right?
Yeah, all these are buy it now.
Yeah, okay. Like. Those things.
The All-Star Game puck, $30. God damn, he signs on the freaking. Look at this. He's signing on the damn logo all the time. Bailey is. What the fuck? Bailey. Look at this shit. No sleep till Belmont. Oh yeah, for the podcast. My God. Yeah, he's got a nice little signature with the silver Sharpies on black pucks are always great, man. They're great. Oh, look at that. The silver Sharpies.
Are there any ones that you would bid on? Are there any bid them?
Let me see the bid nows because all these are like buy it nows.
Yeah, buy it nows. Well, they just sit there forever.
Auction. Let's put it on auction only. There's only 36 results. So I'm not sure there actually are any bids. They're all buy it nows.
Yeah.
Bid or best offer. Yeah, there's nothing as an actual bid, Grump.
What does it tell you?
The Josh Bailey pucks, they're great to the free market. You could just put them out there on a free market and people are going to bid them up. You don't have to go ahead and put it at a fixed price and say, this is what I'm taking or not selling.
If you put something up for $1, it won't sell. And then they'll put it on a buy it now. They'll bump the price up. They don't have to pay attention to it.
Tom B says, we need sound effects for the next show for TJ's bathroom breaks. That would be funny. That would be kind of funny. I got to do that.
That's like Archie Bunker every time he went to the bathroom or got done in the bathroom.
Oh, man. All righty, Grumpy. I'll be honest with you. I'm trying to get to Paulo C says, Nelson is scoring big goals. Last year, he scored a bunch of goals, but not too many important goals. A lot of empty netters.
True. And you're right. I think he's been better this year than last year. Absolutely. Offensively, not defensively, offensively.
Tommy B says, I miss the McRib. Okay. Tommy B, I know Tommy B likes the McRib. I had one McRib. Not a big fan. I was never a fan of the McRib. I don't know. If I'm going to eat ribs, I want real ribs. The McRib is, I don't know. I can eat other things at McDonald's, but I can never eat a McRib. Random, but Romanov drives a true European. He drives a speed limit. He drives like the speed limit is a suggestion. He drives so fast.
They drive fast over in Europe.
New York Rangers. 26 says, go Rangers. Oh, man.
Hey, that's all right.
Tommy B
Everybody
said, TJ Grumpy Old Man, how was your Thanksgiving? It was good. Hopefully yours was too. Hopefully everybody here had a great Thanksgiving with family and friends.
yes.
Let me see here. I'm just trying to see. Put Bellows on the second power play unit. Yes, they never gave Bellows a freaking chance. And I know, right? Hey, Bellows isn't doing anything on that Flyers team. Yes, I'm well aware of it. But many players on that Flyers team are not doing anything.
I think Shea put out a comment saying that Simon Holmstrom was sent down. 10:38.
Oh, wow, you're way far ahead of me. I did not know that. Hold on a second. Drew L's got a comment, Grumpy. I'll let you read that.
Hey, TJ, I'll be more available for TJ and the Grumpy Old Man tomorrow. But yeah, the Islanders looked flat yesterday against Philly. And I think once Ross lost his to Delorier, that was the turning point. I don't know. I think they just outplayed us.
Let me see. I'm going to look on.
Even the game that we played on Saturday night against the Flyers, I don't think we played particularly well most games this year, but Sorokin just been the difference in net.
Oh, yeah.
That was, the Flyers goalie was so miserable in that game on Saturday that, we popped a couple in and that was it. Game was over.
Stefan Rosner. He says, yep, the Islanders have returned Simon Holmstrom to Bridgeport.
That's where he belongs.
I wonder what it was. Just for tonight. Maybe it could have just been a paper move. I'm not sure. But return to Bridgeport. What, Grumpy?
Is that him happy to be going back to Bridgeport?
No. Tariq says here, but 37 of the Rangers goalie was over a full season. 37. Sorokin's only been a quarter mark, and he's got 19. Yep. So he's off to a good start. That's for certain.
Absolutely.
Yep. He's been returned to Holmstrom. He's been sent back down.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
He's like I said, he's a nothing. Sorry.
Mr. C says here, I meant Letang. What game did he have a stroke? And I hope you're. I don't think it was on Monday. I know it was on Monday, but I'm not sure whether it was during a game or what the situation was. Maybe it was practice. I'm not sure. On Monday, he had that second stroke. Crazy at the age of like 37 when he's had 2 strokes now.
Yeah,
that can't be good on the long-term health of your life, right?
It can't be good.
I don't know. That's not something I know. Okay, hold on. Here it is. Shea said he didn't have a stroke in game. The team was off, and he had a bad migraine, which was a stroke. Yeah. Wow.
Hey, he plays for Pittsburgh, but that's still we don't wish any harm on anyone.
No, absolutely not. All these people are always great individuals, great people.
Hockey players are the best out of all the athletes I've ever met. The best.
Yes, Matthew B says here, I'm behind, but I hope it was corrected. Yes, I don't. Matthew, I tried what we did today on today's show earlier on. We tried to enter a realm which we are not comfortable in, the advanced analytics realm. We tried one time, and we were just left stranded out of the ocean with no life jacket. It was a rough waters, that's for certain. Who would win in a bare knuckle fight? John Taffel or Elliot Stabler? The winner must go versus Steve Wilkos. Who wins that? Then a grand finale of Jerry Springer versus Murray.
Taffet over Stabler, Wilkos over Taffet, and Maury over Springer.
There it is. Okay.
Elliot Stabler, he's just a freaking actor, first of all.
Matthew B says here, according to what I'm looking at, Shesterkin's average last year was .666. It looks like, which was in the best in the league. Sorokin's average right now is .996. Wow. Okay. Per game. So for the advanced analytics crowd, I'm hoping you know.
I don't even know what any of that means.
I was about to say, I'm trying. JK says, fellas, my feeling is that your listeners, for the most part, don't like Josh Bailey, and for the most part, do like Brock Nelson.
Very astute observation, Jake.
Yes. I think most Islander fans should be in that camp. Not big
Yes.
Bailey guys, but big Brock Nelson guys.
Yes. True.
Big Brock. As usual, TJ skipping his comments. I'm sorry, we're skipping everybody's comments. We're trying to do our best, but anyway. Yeah, people do not like Gross. We got a few comments that people not liking Andrew Gross. What's going on with that?
I've never met him.
We didn't even report on Casper's news.
Well, it's news day.
Well, I guess what people here's the thing. We've become, albeit, right? Arthur Staple, people always were like, oh, he's a closeted Ranger fan, right? How often did we hear that, Grumpy?
A lot. I want to say 35% of the people thought that.
Yep, and a lot of people, and he probably is a Ranger fan. But here's the thing,
he's definitely a Ranger fan.
Yeah, but when you look at,
I don't think it hurt his coverage of the team, though.
I don't think it did either. But here's the thing. He was always on top of literally anything and everything. The guy, you could never question the devotion of Arthur Staple. And like, maybe here's the thing, though, too. Maybe Andrew Gross is out getting a dinner. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, he didn't report on. It's 11 o'clock, too. Maybe he's in bed. I don't know. Maybe he's getting ready for this Friday, getting ready to release a big story. I don't know. You can't expect him to live on his phone, but I know that's kind of the way that job is. But there was a lot of negative comments towards Andrew Gross. I've never met the guy. Last year, when nobody was willing to question Barry Trotz, he was one of the few that did. And I was like, good. Hats off to you, Andrew Gross. Yes, D-Cut says, Stephen Rosner is our best reporter. The kid hustles. He does.
He does.
I like him. Big fans of Stefan Rosner. Did I call him Stephen again? Stefan Rosner. Stefan Rosner. I'm sorry. Sorry, Stefan. You'll always be Stefan, but I might accidentally always call you Stephen just by accident. But anyway, Grumpy man, I'm sorry. We didn't get to every comment. What are you looking at, Grumpy?
I'm just looking at Kyle Palmieri, 9 points in 20 games. Josh Bailey, 7 points in 20 games. 3 of them in one game. So you do the math on the rest. Just kind of underwhelming. Bavillier, 10 points in 23 games. Yeah. Just interesting. $10 million for those two guys. Whole lot of production. 16 points between the two of them in 20 games. Add the two of them up, not even a point a game. $10 million towards your cap. Good cap management. Good acquisitions. Good job.
All righty, Grumpy. Man, what do you want to say before we wrap things up today?
I just want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens, even those who don't, from TJ and Grumpy Old Man.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for listening to the show today. And it was good to get back on the airwaves, to get back on the live stream after a good Thanksgiving, a good holiday, and back at it, back to the action as always. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the show, for tuning in. Sorry we didn't get to every comment. We tried our best. We're just trying to keep them to maximum 3 hours. We're not trying to do any 4-hour live streams like we've had in the past, trying to get some time management going on here, a little better time management. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Hold on. We do have a few quick comments. Paulo C says here, guys, when I look at the standings, there's going to be a good team out of the playoffs because the Rangers this year, or I'm sorry, because of the Devils this year. Detroit won't make it and Washington's out. Which other team will not make it?
I wish you would have named the teams that he thought were going to make it. If Washington's out, then I still think it's going to be Tampa. I think Florida will make it. And I think it's between us and the Rangers for the
so like what we could say, right? If you're talking about the other team that can't make it, right? The Bruins are going to make it. The Leafs probably make it. The Lightning probably make it, and probably the Florida Panthers, right? All those teams probably make it. Those 4 teams.
I think Carolina will make it. The Devils will make it.
Devils, Carolina, Penguins, and you could say, or is it going to be the Rangers or the Islanders? Like the Metro is very close.
I think the last 3, 2 of the last 3 are going to make it between the Penguins, the Islanders, and the Rangers. 2 and 3.
Gotcha. So we got that there. D-Cut says, I have pent-up anger for TJ. Well, just leave one of your famous comments. Fire TJ, hire D-Cut. That should get some of that out.
Yeah.
Pudding Gerda says, Andrew Gross equals Mark Schwartz of hockey. I can't even tell you who the hell that is, to be honest with you. And director Barry absolutely sabotaged us from having. I'm sorry, Dictator Barry. Dictator Barry absolutely sabotaged us from having any chance of having Golechev on the roster. He could have been valuable considering he's putting up numbers in the KHL.
Yeah, that was the big issue with Barry Trotz. It's just steadfast refusal to play young players. Never going to play.
And Matthew S. says, good show. Thank you. The poker comment, TJ, don't skip it. I don't see a poker comment. But yes, Grumpy, we are here at the end. God damn, I see a lot of these. Don't skip the poker comment about your whole family. Hold on a second. I got to try to find this one comment here. Damn. Give me a second here. I assume it's about asking us who has the best poker face. But Grumpy, did you already do your sign off?
Yes, I did.
Okay, Ponybear Curtis, I got to it. Says, who would win in a game of poker? $10,000 in the pot. The Warden, the Lovely Page, Son X, Dog Z, the Human Fence Rider, or the Grumpy Old Man. I want an in-depth analysis, Grumpy.
First of all, the Warden would not even take part in a game like that, so she's automatically out.
Just say it. You know who's winning that.
It's not you.
You know who's winning that, Grumpy.
TJ bets like a freaking moron. We were playing a game. First time I ever played it. TJ professes to be great at this game. What was it called?
I am great at the game. It's called Rook.
Rook. Never played it. I watched them play two hands, and I said, okay. And TJ lost to a fucking novice.
Here's the thing. It relies upon your partner. The Lovely Page and I, when we play this game, do not mesh. We're like water and oil. Any other partner I'm with, I mesh with. I'm the greatest Rook player that's ever laid down a card, Grumpy Old Man. The greatest.
All I know is
so
there
on
was
that
a hand. There was a hand where I looked at everybody's hand, and TJ's just bidding crazy. I'm like, I'm looking at the other people's hands. I'm like, dude, I don't know what the hell you're doing. And he bid something ridiculous. Of course, he wasn't even close to making it. I'm like, what the hell are you bidding on? You're just making shit up as you go along. TJ would absolutely lose. He'd be one of those guys that said all in with like a 2, a 3, a 9, and a 7.
Stop.
I'm all in. I'm like, what the hell? He'd be done in a second. Dog Z, he's not really good at cards, but he'd knock the cards all over the table. So I don't know if he's disqualified. TJ's absolutely not. Son X, no, I'd win.
Bullshit, Grumpy. You're not winning this. I would win.
Who won? Who got when we played cards over Thanksgiving?
Stop. It required on me to no.
Who won?
No.
Who won?
No.
Who won?
No,
Who won? Who won?
No.
Who won? Did you win or did I win?
You didn't win.
Who won?
Your team won.
My team won. Whose team lost? Whose team lost?
My team lost.
Thank you very much. I win. Thank you.
I mesh well with a lot of
people. It already happened. Here's the thing. It's like I came down from another planet to play this TJ that was a master at, and I beat him first game out of the chute.
We shot.
It wasn't even close.
I've shot the moon before. I have shot the moon before, Grumpy. Okay, don't even start. Don't even start it. I've shot the moon. Out of the 200 points you can get, I got all 200 points in one round before. Okay, shoot the moon.
You lost.
And it's immediate game over.
You lost.
C-Cut says, good show, Grump. Average show, TJ.
Oh,
well. We do what we can. But thank you again, guys, for tuning in. We'll be with you guys we'll be tomorrow on TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. We'll be live again this Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, hope you had a good hump day. Have a great Thursday and Friday. We'll see you guys tomorrow on TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be there or you're in trouble. Thank you again, Grumpy, as always.
My pleasure.